Welcome to the Redeemed Backslider with your host, Kathy Chastain, Christian-based psychotherapist and redeemed backslider. This podcast is dedicated to those who have wandered but are ready to return to the life-changing power of grace and the freedom found in Jesus.
Hi, welcome to the Redeemed Backslider. I'm your host, Kathy Chastain. I'm a Redeemed Backslider, and I'm a Christian-based psychotherapist. With me today in the studio, who came down from Martinez area, right? Richmond. Wow, even further, is Michael Torres. And his dad, who you can't see, is on the other side of the camera. He actually lives here. So Michael came down to see his dad and come into the studio with us, which is always so much nicer when we can do it in studio. So thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
And so we had a nice little conversation off camera before we started. And Michael knows Pastor Kane from CLC, which is such a small world when everybody starts talking. And then and then your dad is part of the pastoral team from Fortress of Truth here. Retired pastor from there, which is here in our town. And anyway, so it is such a small world, and God is definitely working in us backsliders.
Yes, he is.
So I'm excited to hear your story. And so I sent a little questionnaire out.
Yeah.
Which I just started kind of doing, actually. And you backslid at age 30, which is interesting to me that it was so much later in life. Yeah. So tell me what life was like in your childhood and teenage years and adult years before you backslid at age 30. I would guess you had a relationship with God for a very long time before you walked away.
Yeah.
Right? So walk me through the beginning, what that was like.
So it's funny, I was thinking about it. I didn't plan on saying much about it. But I got the Holy Ghost at 5 years old in Madera, California. My dad was assisting Brother Clifford Clark at the time. It was a prayer meeting. I can still tell you the exact spot in the church where I got the Holy Ghost.
I'm amazed at one of my friends who's on the podcast, Courtney Rakestraw. She got the Holy Ghost at 3 years old.
That's so awesome.
And I was like, and I talked to her for a while about that because I see children in my practice and I, in the developmental process, how, man, I feel like that's a miracle of God when Absolutely. He gives the Holy Ghost to kids that young. There's something special.
Very special.
I mean, it's always special when someone gets the Holy Ghost, but I think when you get it that young, it feels to me like there is a lifetime and a lifelong calling from birth, sort of. You know what
Samuel.
Like Samuel.
Yes.
And so, wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah. I can.
And also, people don't remember memories at that early, but you do.
Oh yeah.
And she did.
Yeah. I remember one night we were in. This is when we lived in Madera Acres. I was praying for money. I needed some money. And I asked Jesus for money. And they had given me a roll top desk. And I was telling, I'd asked my mom for money. And she said, why don't you pray? So I prayed. And then I opened the roll top desk and there was money there. Oh. So I could that's one of my memories of praying for something and God answering my prayers.
Yeah.
And I do remember, that's one that I actually hold on to, right? Then I do being baptized. I could still remember. I had a buddy named Stephen Mantooth. I think he's a pastor somewhere. He is, yeah. But he had just got the Holy Ghost and got baptized, and he's like, "Man, it feels like new skin." And sure enough, when I got baptized, I came out, and I still remember. I was 5 years old.
Wow.
And I still remember feeling like new skin.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, and wonderful that you remember. I mean, because it is an experience, and I think psychologists talk about how memory is related to emotion. And so typically we remember the bad because the emotion is so big, right? But getting the Holy Ghost and getting baptized is also such a big emotion and
Yes.
experience because it's undeniable.
Yes, it's undeniable. You can't take it
Wow.
away from me. You can't take that away from me.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
we're in the middle of all that. We went to Brother Clark left, and then a pastor named Brother Bo came, Kenneth Bo, and then we went into L.A., Bellflower,
Okay.
and my dad helped him, and then started a couple churches over there. A gypsy, well, I think they call it Romano now. I don't want to. Back then, Anyways, it's a Romano church.
I don't know what that means.
I think gypsy is not what we use anymore. The
Not
term.
Politically correct.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I think they call it Romano. I think.
Okay. But it's like a free,
It's the ethnic, the
Yeah.
ethnicity of them. He started a church with the Romano people. That
I didn't know it was.
yeah.
I always thought a gypsy was like a vagabond.
Well, I think that's why it's
Okay.
politically incorrect now to use
Okay.
because of that, right?
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Beautiful people.
Yeah.
And it's funny because now growing up around them and stuff like that, we recognize them and stuff.
Okay.
And they're like, "What?" They're like, "You're a guy show," Also, I saw the sign. I still remember all that. And anyways, but it's because people don't speak Romano. They don't.
I didn't never know it was a ethnicity.
Yeah. That's really cool. They're interesting people too.
Right.
Then there in Bellflower, I had some very good memories there as well. But that's where he started a Spanish work and the gypsy work. But in the middle of that, it was really cool. It was after school. I had these are some of my memories that are, he had a Bible class. And I remember this was my first time actually feeling a purpose. Like he would have these, wow, I didn't realize it was going to hit me like this. Thanks.
We have them there on purpose.
Yeah. So he would have these quizzes and on like who wrote the book of Genesis or Acts or and then memorizing the books of the Bible. And I remember studying the Bible, and I think that's where I fell in love with God. I think that's where I fell in love with His Word. And that little class after school was my favorite class. And I loved it, and they had candy and toys, but it was learning the Word of God, and I was so happy to know Him. And anyways, then my mom would play these records of all the stories, the Bible stories, and I fell in love with those stories. And I would lay down. They had a old wooden. I cannot believe this.
That's good. That means your heart is tender.
Yeah.
That's good, Michael.
They had this old record player. It was wood, and the record player was in the top, and you would open the cabinets, and that's where the records were. And we had the entire Bible stories all
On records?
Yeah, on records.
Oh, wow.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
And you put it on right, and if it skipped, you have to get up and fix it.
Yeah.
Whatever. And we also had a white upright piano, and my mom would play that white upright piano and sing and worship God at night. And so I still remember a lot of these old songs that even people my age don't know. Because
Probably like the Rambos and the
the
good
Rambo,
ones.
yes.
Yeah, I pull those up now and again on YouTube because that's my childhood too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
Or James Cleveland, I've had my share of life's ups and downs.
Yes, I didn't know who sang that. Because Nancy Granquist, I think, recorded that.
Oh, yeah.
So that's who I know her.
She's
singing.
amazing.
Yeah.
I love Nancy Granquist.
Yeah.
I'd like to bring her up at some point. Yes, I actually remember them coming through Madera when they were doing the whole tour.
Right.
Yeah. I still remember that. Like, yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then, do you probably remember Pass the Torch then?
No.
In the it was like 81, 82. The Western District at the time was United, right? There was Olympics in LA, and they did this Pass the Torch thing, and they came through, and you'd walk a mile or run a mile. I remember running a mile with my mom.
Oh,
I think
wow.
I had to have been about 5. I had to have been 5 because I think we were 5 when we moved to LA. So, yeah, I still remember all that. I think Brother
Wow.
Weems was the one that, and they had the shirt and it said "Pass the Torch" and all that.
Oh, yeah.
I have these memories, right?
Right,
It's crazy.
yeah.
God has been definitely a part of my life. And then, so in the middle of all that, studying falling in love with the Bible, I was watching some of your podcasts. It was Sister Haney or Montez.
Stephanie Haney Montez.
Yes, thank you. She said that she felt isolated. And yeah, I did, definitely, all those years. Different, right? I connected with Stephanie because she has a sanguine personality, yet still felt isolated. And I had a sanguine. I didn't really have, other than I mentioned Stephen Mantooth, that was the only really friend I had that whole time. And it wouldn't be what you would consider a best friend, you know? So that was the closest I had. But nothing against him. I love him. Please don't.
Right, yeah, for sure.
It's just
experiences,
Yeah,
right?
it's
As a kid and finding our friendships and where we fit, where we don't fit.
Right. Yeah.
And I think a lot of backsliders share that commonality that we felt like we didn't fit,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
And looking back, I don't know how you feel, but I didn't fit, but I think that had to do with my own woundedness.
Yeah.
And my inability to feel comfortable within my own skin and deal with the things that was troubling me, you know?
Yes.
And I think too, it was a lot of sensitivity. I'm going to guess, because I got an idea about you already, but I think when people are really highly sensitive, we're acutely aware of others. And so we're reacting to what other people probably don't even realize they're transmitting.
Yes, definitely.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
It took us all these years to figure that out, though.
Yeah. That's it. That's what it is. We had some of the epic things that would happen. Obviously, the Night Stalker was in LA. I remember when he got caught, the neighbors, we all came out, you know, and everybody was cheering and happy.
Was that in your area?
Yeah, that was in LA.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll never forget because we listened to the radio. We didn't watch TV, right?
Right.
So our neighbor, well, here's all here. The neighbor would always let us come over and we'd watch Mr. Rogers at her house.
Listen, I think half of Pentecost watched TV when they weren't supposed to watch TV. And then they just hide it when company came over. Good night. That's why we think about hypocrites, because it was so... When you're a little kid, it doesn't make sense.
No.
It's funny now, though.
So we would, my mom she wasn't a proponent of guns, but during that time, she made my dad get the gun out, because it was very scary. It was what we call earthquake weather, so it was hot, and so people would keep the windows open.
Right.
And but in the middle of all that, she would come and read stories. We had these bunk beds, and she would read about Pearl Harbor and all that, but she'd always read us stories from the Bible. And she would tell me these stories about David. And I genuinely believe this. God is immutable.
Right.
And so because he's unchangeable, you can look at what he's done and know what he does.
Right.
Because he's the same God.
Right.
Something perfect can't change, because if it changes, it becomes imperfect. So this perfect God has always set things in motion. He's already in front of us and behind us.
Right.
So I genuinely believe, by looking at what he's done, that he's done this before. So he was setting my mom up with me, telling me stories that would help me
later
on when I needed it. And David has been, not me, but scholars think, because I don't know, I wasn't there, but scholars believe that are much smarter than me, that David had bipolar. And if you read his Psalms, they're like, whew, and
they are. They are. One psalm is joyful. The other one is depressive.
Yeah. So, holding on to that and looking at somebody that you can kind of connect with. My mom gave me David. Yeah. And so that helped me. And she'd given me the stories of, overcoming and the difference between David and Saul. And those stories have helped me immensely.
Yeah.
So I do remember when the Night Stalker was caught, and you go to the donut shop and there's his face and all that, right? Like, I'll never forget that. But, and the neighbor came over to tell us, because we didn't have a TV, but we already heard it on the radio. And I'm telling you, everybody was in the streets celebrating, hugging.
Wow.
And it was almost like, you hear these stories about World War II, about people doing that. Right. That's actually how it was in our neighborhood. Everybody was out cheering and all that. I assume that. And then in 87, we lived in La Mirada. And that was the Whittier earthquake that happened there.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that.
I remember Northridge.
Yes.
I don't remember the Whittier one, but I remember Northridge.
Yeah. That was in 90, right? Or 91?
I don't know.
It was funny. The funny thing about it was, not as in haha, but that was a very dangerous earthquake.
Yes.
People died. If I would have went to school that day, the whole ceiling fell right where I was sitting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So God spared you.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. He 100% did. I'll never forget that day. I can remember waking up and the whole thing shaking, and we already had earthquake, practices already. And then,
those were the days when they taught us that in elementary school, right? We had the drills. I remember that too, right?
Yeah. So I get up, get my brother and his, his family, Casey Clark, who grabbed him, and I got him, put him under the bed. And then, our parents came to they're in the doorway holding on. You guys all right? Like,
yeah,
we're right. But I remember all that. And then, incidentally, we left. There was a church situation that happened, and we all had to leave. So, and that was my spiritual earthquake, right? Like, all of a sudden, the people that like the Clarks we're very close.
Right.
Our school was really cool. It'd be Tuesday through Friday.
Was it a Christian school?
It was.
Or okay. So you grew up going to Christian school. Well, you're fortunate.
Yeah.
I know. I went to public school. Trust me, I know there's pros and cons to both, but I look back, I'm grateful to have been raised in a Christian home.
Yeah.
And public school just made me aware of what else is out there, I guess, that I probably may not have noticed otherwise. But I know that, when you're in a Christian school, there's a lot of confinement as well. So I think maybe it's just individual for people.
I think if I was going to run a Christian school, I would focus on the teachers, because the students should be the main goal, right?
Yeah.
I think that Christian schools are important. I used to hate Christian schools.
Yeah.
But I've done a full kind of circle, and especially now when I'm looking, because Jesus said, he taught that we're salt and light, and the ingredients don't work if light's not being shown, if salt's not in the
right.
So it's not isolation, it's separation. You can be separated in a pile, like, different, you look different, right?
Right.
So it's not isolation.
Point.
Yeah, it's not isolation, but we do need to protect our kids. And I think protecting our kids is putting the right teachers in their life. And if you can't afford to have those teachers, maybe do homeschool that. Because those
bad
kids,
teacher can make a big difference.
It makes either way. If you have a good teacher, it's like Sister Gibson, great. I'm not going to mention the bad teachers because they're probably still alive.
But when you're a kid, it hurts.
It's horrible.
It really I mean, I have 60-year-old clients, 70-year-old clients that still talk about their childhood and their high school days. in their elementary days because when they were bullied or they had a bad teacher, like they believe that, they internalize that, and it affects them their whole life.
I still forgive these teachers every day. Yeah. So, yeah. So I think there's...
So some seeds were already getting planted. As much as you loved God, there was still some things that was hurting you along the way.
Yeah. And then that's what happened. That's the journey that things split up right in there in that time. I remember my favorite Christmas was in Lakewood. I turned 7. That was my birthday's Christmas Eve. So like it's all kind of it's easy to remember. But anyways, so but after that earthquake, we moved to Modesto because of all the things that happened there, and just to be clear, and the Clarks were amazing. It had nothing to do with them. It was like there was I think it was a church split actually. You know what? It was a church split, I believe what it was. And so they had to leave and we had to leave too because we were all part of it. So that's different, right? Because you're a kid and you're not really understanding everything, and you see that the Clarks are righteous people.
Right.
You know? Like I was going to say, it was Tuesday through Friday. So we would spend the weekend together. We'd go for service, and then Monday we'd hang out. So we'd go to Disneyland, or it was cool, right? Like we go to the Mojave Desert. These were great memories, you know?
Right.
And then all of a sudden that's taken away. And I was already a lonely kid, already not, really didn't have any friends. So they take that away. It was a little more traumatic than I guess I realized. But we come up to Modesto, and there it was. The funny thing about it was the next one was the '89 earthquake with I remember that because I'm an A's fan.
The Bay Area.
Yeah. So I actually felt that one. So we were one earthquake.
There's a trend with you in earthquakes.
Yeah. I remember seeing the cars going. I was trying to do my homework and I was listening to the A's game on the radio.
Wow.
On the radio. In my dad's office. But anyway, so there was some funny things about that. But so there, but in Modesto, I started having friends. There was a guy named Chris Williams. It was my first friend. And then him, and then it was a Tim Powell. I met him at Donkey Rock junior camp, and that was the place to go. Even all the pre-PK kids would go, like Heidi Granquist, all of them. It would all go. And so that was fun. But that's where I met Tim Powell, and then ended up that his dad was also was pastored in Fireball at one time. Then he was going to Modesto, and so we all just kind of converged slowly together. And so he became one of my best friends. And then I met another kid at camp named David Short. And so those are the two that for the first time in my life, I actually had real friends.
Good. Yeah. How old were you?
So Tim Powell was 9. I was 9 years old with Tim Powell. And then David was 10.
So you already understood loneliness.
Oh, yeah.
At that early of an age.
Yeah.
I wonder where, because your personality is still developing, right?
Yeah.
And the self-awareness also is still developing. How did you recognize, where do you think the loneliness came from at such an early age?
I think that's a good question. I think not fitting any of the boxes.
But in what way? Because this was all your observation, right?
Yeah.
Your internal awareness. What did you notice? I mean, where were you feeling like you didn't fit?
Oh, that's a good, well, the kids would point it out too, right? Like, because I'm imaginative, I would think of things. I like to, creative. Yeah. And it would be weird. Like, the kids, it was always some weird, like, oh, okay, here's a perfect example. We had it was like a kids' night. We're all there. Well, maybe I shouldn't say this story, but we were boxing, and it was me, and I was the youngest against all of them. Like, I would box one, knock him down, and the next one would come, and the next one, and it was literally me versus all of them. And in games, it was constantly being me versus all of them. It was like they kind of naturally.
Oh yeah, so gravitated together as a club.
Yeah.
Okay, so you noticed that right away, right? What do you make of that now that you are? What do you notice about that now? That you've come back to the Lord.
Yeah. It still happens in the. I think. I mean, this is going to sound pretentious. I don't mean it to sound this way, but it seems like they see something that makes them feel less, or they don't like it, whether they understand it or not. So because of that, their reaction is
right.
And so I don't know. People call it jealousy or whatever, but whatever it is.
I've always said or felt, I think the Lord revealed this to me, and maybe it was just a way to comfort me, because again, it's not a pretentious thing. It's a endeavor to understand, and but I felt like a leader never fits in with the crowd, and so when the crowd, the leader is always apart from. And the crowd is always congregated. And Jesus was never part of the crowd. He was always leading, and he never fit either. And it's not that, because leaders come in all shapes and sizes. And, I could lead in one little fragment of life. That's my little corner of the world, right?
Yeah.
But it really helped me to accept being okay with being different.
Yeah.
Because I'm a question asker, I just ask, I see, I notice, I observe. And I think I've always been that way, but I was also very, very young when I noticed people didn't invite me.
Yes.
I didn't get invited to birthdays. I don't think I've ever been in a wedding in my life.
Oh.
And not that I need to, but when all your friends growing up are always in somebody's wedding, and then no one ever asks me, I'm like, what's going on here? You try to understand, because we can't help but feel rejected by it. And so, anyways, I think it's incredible that you already understood some of that at such an early age. You clearly had to be very sensitive, but that's what I think. I think leaders never fit with the crowd. So when the crowd isn't accepting you, we should rejoice in that, I think.
Yeah.
And then figure out, okay, God, where do you have me?
Oh, that's good.
But there's also going to be few people that will, I think loneliness is also, loneliness can have to do with childhood trauma and rejection, but it also can be the mark of ministry or the prophetic ministry, because walking with God is a one-on-one walk, and it can also often be very lonely. I've heard so many people that operate in prophetic ministry at being very, very isolating.
Yeah.
And I believe that that's by God's design.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it helps to understand those things, because still I carry the desire to be accepted and to fit in, even though I am on so many levels, there's still that internal need to just have a place.
Yeah. You want to be normal. I mean, I wanted to be normal, right?
Right.
Yeah. So in prison, rather, fast forward real fast, just to highlight that. I'll never forget, I watched this movie over and over again because it was a sandstorm and they just put it on a loop. But there was a saying in it, the reason why I kept watching it, because it kept relating to there were these outcast outlaws that were saving the day kind of thing. And one of them said, normal's just a setting on the washer machine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We can't.
Yeah, there's no normal.
So, that's what I wanted. I wanted to be like the rest of them. I wanted to fit with them. And it just wasn't happening.
But man, Michael, it sounds like God had such a special touch of your life, man, from the beginning.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely still remember some prayer meetings with him. Even as a little kid, it's something funny that you brought that up. I remember I just was over there at the church in Modesto in October. I just was wanting to see my kids, and then so I was hanging out, and they were getting the church ready for a service. So I ended up helping them paint. But in that section, there was a little step that I would always go and pray, and I remember that memory came back when I'm looking at it. You know, I was kind of in that. I was right there, and I remember that was where God called me the first time. And so I had to have been 9 or 10, and but it was at that step. I can still remember it. I still remember praying.
What did he say?
That's so crazy. He's all, "You're called. I'm calling you to preach." And I didn't want to be a preacher. I didn't like it. My dad would talk about, "This is a beautiful life," and I'm like, "This is terrible. I can't watch TV. I can't play sports.
Right.
This is horrible. What are you talking about?"
Right.
I remember, I don't want this. Like,
Yeah. Because we don't understand at that age, you know?
Yeah, no. And then he said, I'm calling you. And I was praying, and I'm like, "Are you sure? I don't want this."
Yeah.
You know? But I think deep down it did, like, you know, because I want to be used. I wanted to have a purpose, right?
Yeah.
And if I found that purpose, so that was the first time, yeah. And it was, I remember it, yeah. I'm calling you to preach, and so there it was, and okay, and then fast forward, going to school and all that, and I trying to fit in. Well, so David Short showed up in my 6th grade. And that was the first time. So Tim Powell still wasn't going to our school yet. David Short, I remember seeing him. I'm like, "What? You're in my school?" So I finally had a friend my age.
Yeah.
It was really cool. And that was the real friendship. That was the first real friendship I had. And going to school. And so we ended up living in the same town, riding bikes. We'd ride bikes to each other's house and stuff like that. So that was my first, okay, I have a real friend. Well, he's different. So you have two kids that are different, right? You know, and so we got, it was God.
Yeah.
It absolutely.
Put you together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Orchestrated from the beginning, all the way. And so and that was a good year. That was Sister Gibson was my teacher. And we had like 9 kids in that class. It was perfect. It was perfect. And so out of that class, it was me. So David Short, Bobby Rodella, and Nathan Sandoval. I'm not sure about Nathan, but I know David's pastoring and Bobby's assistant pastor in Antigua. Yeah.
Wow, wonderful.
Yeah. So that was the special little thing.
Yeah.
And then Stephanie Weems is now Jones, I think. I think she's the pastor's wife in Texas somewhere. So like this little group of people that God put together that, you know, anyways. So, but that was a good year. And then things started moving direction. But I started wanting to fit in. And so in junior high, that's when I started, you know,
normal struggles of teenage years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But were you still like in love with God and still pursuing him, even though you probably were struggling in the other areas? Or do you feel like you kind of...
That's when I started.
Okay.
Yeah. I was already starting to get a lot of hurt. And then, so I did actually, I felt like, well, if you could smoke weed and all that, that was cool. Right.
Right.
So that's where I wanted to go. I just wanted to be cool. I just wanted to fit in.
Right. Right.
And, my friends were older, a lot older, because there was nobody other than David Short, but he didn't even go to my church. He went to the Series church. So in my church, everybody was older than me, everybody. Okay. And so I was already going to the high school, Sunday school, because there was nobody my age.
Yeah. Right.
So all those guys, and Yeah. So I noticing girls and all that, and I loved their attention. Because I felt like it was a value thing there.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So that's when all that started happening. And then I found that, if you're funny and outgoing, that, things can happen.
Right. Get a little bit more attention.
Yeah. So that went that direction. And, but I still loved God.
Yeah.
And it was hurting me and I just felt like I couldn't make, and then with all that pressure that back then, you just didn't think you could make it. I was like, I remember asking God, why'd you even have me alive? I can't live. Like, I can't, Because
there's so many eyes. I mean, I think growing up, when we, I don't know how old you are, but I'm 58, and the focus was so much on the outward that there was a lot of judgment. And I don't know that it was ever, like nowadays I learn to understand motive, right?
Yeah,
People don't always, they're not judging you from a bad place of motive. It's just what we learn, right?
Yeah.
It's just, it was a cultural thing and we felt it, but it wasn't because people probably didn't like us. It was just that we are told if you don't do this, then this is what it means. Even, you know what I'm saying? So it was very hard. And I think it's an important piece to talk about because there's, and I talk to backsliders and people, that is the biggest hurdle for them to jump in coming back to our church, UPC churches, because that's what they remember. That was their experience. And yet, I don't know what it's been like for you, but for me, it's way different now, and probably because we're mature.
Sure.
And it's between us and God, but there's so much more love and acceptance. And I think that when we're kids, we just don't know how to understand it or talk about it or ask questions about it. It just feels so black and white.
Yeah.
So you guys feel that too, huh? Because girls, we definitely felt it.
Yeah.
But it does feel like an impossible way to live because any little mistake would make you an outcast.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that happened there. I got in trouble. I don't know if you ever remember, but there was a convention called PSR, Progress.
I remember. That was the beginning of the... What's the other organization?
WPF.
I think PSR was kind of the start of WPF before it finally changed.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
So our church was heavily involved in it. Brother Keys was part of Brother Clark was too. So, so I, from the beginning, remember all of it. So I was definitely already feeling the oats, trying to just fit in, trying to find my part. And it was killing me the whole time. But I got in trouble. I think, it's all under the blood. But
it is. But you know what? There's people out there that haven't come back. So it's, I have no idea what your story is, Michael, but it is so important to be able to share what God has redeemed in your life and healed, because people often feel like they've gone too far.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Well, and what happened was I got high and drunk at PSR. That's what happened.
A lot of people did, and at senior camp.
At senior camp. Yeah.
I mean, seriously, Brother Mahaney talks about being at senior camp or camp meeting, and he said he was drunk every single day. And I mean, he's a famous evangelist now.
He's awesome.
It happens.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality of what we've lived, right?
Yeah, that's what happened. And I got in trouble. And so
from church trouble or law enforcement trouble?
Well, no, of church. They said, so I had to sit with my parents. And so this was kind of like this transition part. And I was playing the bass for a youth service. And so I had to sit down from that. And so I'm sitting with the youth would sit all on the right side. And my mom sat on the left side. So I had to sit with my mom. Well, brother, he's my bishop now, but Mark Morgan came through. And he said, I'm the only one sitting on that side because everybody else is sitting in the youth, right? He says, there's a young man over here. that's going to just point to the section, that I believe is God told me he's going to turn his life around tonight. And I still remember this, and I'm like, yeah, right. There's like no way, because I can't do this,
Right.
And so Tim Powell and Daniel Warren came, and another kid named Luke, and they're like, dude, after he was preaching when he was down there, like, you need to go down there. Let's go down there. And I'm like, all right, why not? So I walk, and a guy named Julio Hernandez started praying for me, and man, I'll never forget. Again, God just all over, and I was like, all right, I'm going to do this again. Let's try it. Let's go, and
because it's never really about your walk with God. It was learning how to live, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
In this world.
Yes. Yeah. How to make it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's powerful. Yes. So that started it. And, but we didn't really have anybody we didn't have any preaching or anything in our youth. They were already kind of older. And, so because of that, Jeff Morgan was our youth pastor, and he, anyways, that was an extended revival. And so we hadn't had Sunday school in a while. And so Brother Keys said, you guys need to have Sunday school. So that was like one of those revivals. So it was Saturday or something, Friday or Saturday night. Well, so Sunday morning, Brother Keys is teaching in the main sanctuary. We're in the youth section, or in the youth chapel, and nobody interrupts Brother Keys. Nobody. I don't think they still interrupt. Don't do that. But we're all over here, and I have nothing to lose. I'm like,
right.
And he goes, Brother Jeff Morgan's like, if you guys want revival, well, we need some radicals. And he goes, if you want to do it, I still feel it. I want you to take off running, run around the sanctuary, and come back. Well, I'm already in trouble, so I have nothing to lose. So I take off running, right? And unbeknownst to me, all my buddies, all of us, I say my buddies, they all ran with me, right? Well, I didn't know this. Well, Brother Keys was in the middle of his sermon. He goes, you know what we need around here is we need some radicals, right? And just when he said that, here we come running around around there.
Wow.
Jason, we're related by marriage now, Mantooth, I remember it was kind of a funny moment, because I look back, and Jason took that turn too fast to hit the pew and knocked the pew over. He goes rolling, and I'm like, oh no. But we come back in, and the Holy Ghost fell, and we have a revival. And I guess that sanctuary blew up. And then somehow we found out, and Jeff Morgan says, let's all go out there. So we all came out, and we all had, and that was my let's go moment, And
did you live for God after that until you were 30?
Yeah, that was, yeah. And so the first time I felt the anointing was like a week later. My dad was doing the testimonies, and you remember testimony service?
Yeah.
So Sunday night, but it was a big church, and so he'd give you the mic, call up, and give you the mic. And I was praying. For some reason, I wasn't praying in the youth chapel. I was praying in the men's prayer meeting room, and I felt like God told me I was going to testify. So I was like, okay. So I was trying to because I still feel bad about it. I used to make fun of people and stuff like that, and like be loud on purpose, clap when nobody's clapping, just
interrupting.
Yeah, it was horrible. Anyways, so I'm like, I'm going to tell. I used to make fun, but now tonight I'm a one God apostolic, right? And so I'm leaning up against the altar area, and I'm saying, I'm a one God apostolic. And when I did that, it was like fire, like electricity hit me from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. I reacted. My body subconsciously reacted. I stepped out, and all of a sudden I was yelling.
Wow.
And I'm like out in the middle of everywhere, and I'm like, wait, this is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. And I used to think the preachers yelled on purpose. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It was because of what they were feeling.
Yeah.
And some of them probably still do preach on purpose, but anyways, but still, here I was. So I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. And then the lady after me, who turns out to be an aunt of my pastor now, was like, whoa, I didn't expect that out of him. I want to go back to there was some miracles that happened along the way. Do you know the pastor? He's a prophet named Jerome Bourne. He came to our church and said that people are going to give $1,000. This is obviously a long time ago. $1,000 is a lot, and I didn't have a job, and I felt like I was going to give in the middle of all that so I did, and God, I had been praying for years since I was in Madera, 5 years old, praying for a bulldog. And one day at school, one of my the parents comes up and says, "Hey, do you still want a bulldog?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he gave me an English bulldog.
Wow.
Paper. Yeah.
Wow.
And
those are very expensive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back then,
right.
We had puppies, and I was able to sell them for like $1,500, $1,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was able to give $1,000 to the thing. So that all happened too.
Yeah.
Like, that was really cool little moments there. But so God was always with me.
Right.
But that was, and then so after I testified, the guy that was in charge of chapel goes, "Hey, I want you to preach." So he had me and Tim Powell preach. And I mean, I just prayed through. Like, it wasn't like, but we didn't have anybody. Right. And so I did, and I felt the anointing again. And I was like, "Whoa, this is so cool." Like it was like, oh, this is, and so that happened. And so talking about walk with God. So in the middle of all this, Brother Jeff Morgan had me like assist him because John Davis had left, and that was my deal. I just immediately was just like, God started opening doors for me to preach, and I started preaching and started learning, and I just fell in love with him, really did. And but so I would have these lows and these highs, and I would go to the church and pray. And pray and pray. I got to a point where Sonatrol was the alarm system that they knew me by name because I'd call them and say, "Hey, I'm going to be praying." Because I'd be in my dad's office, and those were the moments that had sustained me and would hold on to me and stuff. And we were talking about loneliness, and I'd be asking God and trying to wrestle with all this, and I didn't realize as that these lonely times, that this loneliness, this separated, like feeling different, and then the lows that you feel and the highs, that those were actually gifts from God.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that would drive me to my face and talk to him,
Right.
Yeah. And so not fitting in was a blessing.
Yes.
Not fitting in, not being normal, just sitting on a washer machine was a gift. And the whole time I didn't realize it was a gift.
Right.
And even in that moment, I didn't realize it.
Right. Yeah. After the fact, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
God kind of gives understanding to those things.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was because of that, it kind of shot me forward, and I started preaching around and stuff like that. And there was kids that made me feel more isolated because other kids would be like, "Hey, how come he's preaching and treating me a little bit different?" But they didn't realize this because I'm going through it. I'm, hitting a wall, I call it, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so I had to stay on my face. I had to pray. I had to fast. I had to do these things just to make it.
Right.
Just to walk.
Yeah.
And so God started using me. I started preaching out. We had these daughter works, I think. So I'd go and start preaching for them stuff. I never preached for money. I didn't care. Like it was my purpose. And I had that second time I was going to mention was when that was the solidifying call, because I was like, God, I don't have anything. If I don't preach, I don't have it. Like I don't have a trade. I don't
nothing to fall back on.
Nothing.
Right.
Yeah. And he's like, I definitely, I've called you. And sure enough, the guy. So it was like, 2 or 3 witnesses, right? God will talk to you first and then confirm it with other people. And sure enough, the other guy came up and goes, "It doesn't take a rocket scientist to tell you you're called to God, to preach." And so I was like, yeah, that was just the confirmation that God had already told me. So, okay. So I'm all in. I'm doing Bible college through a couple different avenues. And I was reading, studying, trying to, do my best,
Right.
And we started preaching revivals. I preached up in Canada, preached at senior camp, like they had a little slot. I'll never forget that. A couple little slots. Man, the Holy Ghost moved. I guess there's some tape still out.
Wow.
Yeah. But so all this happened and God's moving, and I'm in the right direction, but I'm still lonely.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing all my buddies, they're getting married and finding, and I'm like, what's wrong with me? What's the deal? And so I'll never forget again, I'm in the prayer room at night. This time I was in the ladies' prayer room, and I was praying, and a guy named Isaac Soria walks in because he had a prayer room key. And he's like, I just feel to tell you that God, don't worry about it. God's going to take care of it. You just keep going. And he told me a story of, I don't think I know. He told me the story of Verbal Bean, how that, Verbal Bean was praying and, God said, don't worry about it. And then I'm paraphrasing obviously, but then finally he got sick and he's like, I need a wife. And then that's when he got his wife. So he said, just keep praying and keep studying, keep going. God will give you a wife. I'm like, okay, sure. Well, I apparently didn't heed it, you know what I mean? Because I still wanted one, right? I wanted one, and all my buddies are having girlfriends and engaged, and I'm like, man, what's my deal? Like, let's go, And so now I'm 21, I'm licensed, and
to preach,
yeah, and I'm like, I got this, I'm together. Well, what's the deal? So there was a young lady in my church, and started dating, whatever, and there was some things that were alarming, or whatever. But my pride. Now I look back and I say it was my pride because I didn't want people to think I could fail and stuff like that. And so I was preaching at PSR actually that year, and I thought, we were supposed to get married, and this is what preachers are supposed to do, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. And so because of that, we rushed the marriage, and I married.
You ignored the flags.
Ignored the flags. Yeah. Yeah.
We all do that.
Yeah.
Because we're lonely, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
we're lonely.
Trying to fit somebody into that box.
Yeah. And so I got married, and I married the wrong person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened. So that happened, and then everything just slowed down. Like I wasn't preaching as much. God was still using me. I was a youth pastor in Gustine for a little while, and but I and then I just kind of then what? So I'm in my late 20s now, and that's when things really went downhill. The marriage was, nobody would describe it as good. It was horrible, actually. And but at the time, I didn't believe that. I felt like the Bible said that you couldn't divorce.
Right.
I'm stuttering because it's still a hard topic for people. I do recommend, if you ever, I do recommend the book Marriage and Divorce by Dr. Instone Brewer. I discovered that in prison. And but even talking to other people now, it's still a touchy subject with people. Because
you're Christian.
Yeah.
I know. I have those wonderful Christians that come in for counseling, but they're married to a narcissist suffering abuse. And, but I will say, because I'm not going to get into that right now, but, but what I always tell them is, the Bible says, husbands, love your wives like Christ loved the church and died for her. Like, marriage is not just about we can't get divorced. It's also about what marriage is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
Through love and through forgiveness and through two people working on a relationship, if it's meant to mirror our relationship with the Lord, right?
Yeah.
And so my opinion is it takes two people to be married, and ultimately, I've been divorced more times than I'd like to say. And I have to just trust that God forgives that.
He 100% does.
And I believe that. My pastor has helped me a lot.
Yeah.
But, even if we make a mistake, there's still redemption and forgiveness and restoration.
Yes.
Because that's who God is.
Yes.
In spite of whatever.
Oh man, that's what the book, when you talk about that, Galatians, right? So it's funny how we talk about isolation and church hurt. There's a lot of church hurt, right? The book of Acts 15 is the time that Galatians is being written.
Oh, that's good to know. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that misunderstand. They think that Thessalonians, 1st, 2nd Thessalonians is Paul's first writings. It's Galatians that is his first writing. Mm-hmm. And he's writing to former Greeks, former Romans, right? Mm-hmm. This is a Celtic society that was moved from France to Turkey, okay? So these people were pagans through and through. They did not value women at all.
They still don't.
No. So, right? So, yes, there's some, if you read some of the Roman, I can't even say some of the things that they said about their value of what they would just trade them away, right? Mm-hmm. And so Paul is speaking to these former people. He says, such were some of you. Right. So some of these people were horrendous people at one point that had gone through several women and divorces and horrible things. And he says, but God. Right. And then they're redeemed. So if God can redeem these pagans that we used to cut people's heads off and use them as mugs. Right. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah.
Yeah. All things. Nothing.
Yes.
Right. He redeems all things if we allow him to.
Yes. Yeah. That's why Acts 15 was a fight. Because they're like, how can God save these people? Mm-hmm. They were mad. Read Acts 15. They didn't want. They're like, no. Mm-hmm. They're not saved. And Paul's like, no. You are saved. Relax. One step at a time. Right. Yeah. And they came up with like three laws. Right. Don't worship idolatry. Don't fornicate, and don't eat something that's strangled. Right. That's been strangled. Like so, they started with basic laws just to get them. You know what I mean? Right. But that's what the church is all about. It's all about redemption. And if God can save them, he can save me. And if God can save me, he can save you.
Yeah.
He can save anybody.
So you stayed because of our church culture, right? I think Christian culture in general is about not getting divorced. Right.
Yeah.
As a preacher, it would be even harder, right? Especially
it's disastrous
in the organization, because then that's your life, that's your purpose, that's your call, that's all the things.
Yes, yeah. That's that image, exactly. Yes, that's everything. So, so in the middle of all that, so she actually, her story is her story. She backslides, and I'm still trying to go to church. I'm still trying to bring Haley, my oldest daughter, to church. And I'm still struggling. And then it was rocky, really hard. And it was a struggle every day. And then we were about to get divorced. We were finally at a point where we were going to get divorced. And there was some reconciliation, and she gets pregnant. And so this is another crazy point in my life. So I'm working as an underground locator in Yosemite, and I love Yosemite, by the way. So she was losing the baby. She was losing Riley, who's now Riley. And I was working almost 7 days a week, a lot of times 7 days a week, just to pay the bills. Mm-hmm. And she called me on a Friday saying, "Hey, I'm losing the baby. I'm going to the hospital." So she goes to the hospital, or she was bleeding, and at the hospital she calls me again, says, "They said I lost the baby. They're going to have me come in Monday, and
do a DNC."
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So I come home from work, whatever, and then Saturday and Sunday go to work. And Sunday I called just to check in on her, and I was working at a spot, and there was I knew where the cell tower was. So I go to the cell tower and I call her, and she's crying, she's in pain and all that. And I'm really close to I'm backsliding at this time now, because it was like, working, you're not going to church. There's no,
Nothing to encourage you.
Yeah. And I was still trying to get Haley involved. Still, my mom would take her to church, and my mom was babysitting her and stuff. So I would do her hair, and it was, so my mom was amazing. So I go to the next part to work, and I get on my knees, and I begin to pray. And I say, God, if you will heal my baby, I will serve you. And the Holy Ghost hit me so hard that I knew that he answered me. I said, and so I took a picture of it. So I still to this day have a picture of the spot where God healed Riley.
Wow.
Yeah. So she goes to the doctor Monday, and they're like, we don't know what happened. That baby's alive. It's going to be okay. Yeah.
Wow. Praise God.
Yeah. Super God.
Wow.
So that kind of got me, and I started really going back to church again,
And so real quick, your form of backsliding at this time is substance, right?
Yeah.
Being comforted by
Yes.
substance.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I'm going to church. I'm living right. I'm trying to live right, rather. It still was a struggle, but I was still going because I told God I would. And so people can see, right? Like you could tell, because when I'm in, I'm all in, right? And when I'm not, you could see me fading,
Right.
And I went to, my dad was in charge of the junior camps in our section at the time. And so I'd go, and Haley was going with them, he was the camp director. And so I remember the couples, I was praying. Now my mom had cancer started getting cancer at this time. I had cancer. I messed up. I got cancer, and God saved me and healed me.
How old were you?
I was in my 20s. I should actually know this because it happened before my mom. I can't remember now. So Haley's 22, so it would be 20 years ago. So I was 26.
Wow, that's so young.
Yeah. And they did the surgery, and they said there was still more. And it was it's really close to this time. It was right around Thanksgiving. They said, you're going to have to come back, and we're going to have to do radiation.
Where was the cancer? What kind of cancer was it?
It was testicular cancer,
Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to do radiation. And I'm like, oh, all right. Well, I'm like, all right. Well, Brother Bishop Morgan again comes to church, and I'm in the altar, and he lays hands on me, and he goes, curse those death cells. I curse these death cells. And he prayed for me, and God healed me of cancer. Like I didn't have to.
I believe it.
It was so crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So that was a miracle.
I'm just going to stop here because there are miracles of God healing cancer.
Yeah.
And we saw it blow through our church, and I'm not going to say, but I think that is an area of faith that people struggle to believe God for.
Yes.
But man, I'm just going to believe God for it because it's good to hear a testimony. We've heard those testimonies where God has healed cancer.
Yeah.
And then there's other testimonies when that's their trip home, to be with the Lord, which is where we all want to be.
Yeah.
But it's so good to hear the testimony of God healing them, because I believe he does. I believe there's nothing too hard for him.
Nothing.
And whatever wilderness season the church has been in, I think the church has been in a wilderness season, but I think all that's deliberate by God's timing too, in the earth.
Yes.
Because he's got a purpose in the earth.
Yes.
And he's got a purpose in the church, and he does carry us through, but there are definite times when he's moving too in supernatural, powerful ways, I think, which is what we're seeing now.
Absolutely.
I feel like we're seeing that now. And I'm not God, I can't speak for him, but I feel like timing is God's about timing.
He is.
And whatever's So anyways, I feel like we're in this new season of time with the Lord worldwide, you know, especially in the American church. And then again, in our particular church culture.
Yeah. He's immutable, right?
Right.
If he's done it before, he's going to do it again.
Right.
He
right.
still acts. He's still looking to show himself
Same
strong.
yesterday, today, and forever.
Yes.
So, okay, he heals you of cancer.
Yeah.
And then he saves your child.
Yes. So that's kept me going, right?
Right.
And then my mom gets cancer, and she was the adhesive. She held us all together.
Right.
She was amazing. Like I was telling you, I'd go to sleep and she would play the piano, like, all these old hymns and stuff like that. You ever heard of Lost Sheep? That one Lost Sheep, she would sing that one. I'm like, oh, I love that song still. But I don't even know if, anyways, I was getting distracted. But anyways, so yes. And so she got it. And brother, I remember the reason why I was bringing this one camp up, because Brother Koppel was praying for me. And I really felt like I pushed through, and so that kind of sustained me longer.
Yeah.
The body is important. I'm telling you, you got to stay connected to the body because we are important. The blood has got to flow. It's got to flow.
Right.
And so.
Wait, I want to stop there because there's more to that. That's so powerful. I've never thought about the body of Christ in the way you just described it as our physical body. The blood is life.
Yes.
Life is in the blood.
Yes.
And so being connected to the body of Christ, life is in the body because the blood is flowing. That's so powerful. I'm going to have to unpack that later.
Yes.
Because we hear that argument now all the time, right? I can watch church online. I don't need to go. We know what we get when we go, right?
Yes.
But I hear that from people a lot. I don't need to go. I can just be at home. But this is a brand new vein that I need to unpack and look at because there is something we feel differently being at church.
Yes.
I know I can worship at home. I did yesterday because my dad is sick and
I'm sorry.
It's okay. He's okay today. But we worship at home if we can't be in church, and we feel the presence of God there. But there is something so different than being in service.
Yes.
But I love what you said because the blood is flowing through the body. It's different. And we are the body as a congregation.
Yes.
I love that, Michael. That's good. Thank you for that little nugget.
It's God. So
go on. So camp. So you were saying you were getting something different there.
Yeah. And I'll never forget, there's another spot where I could tell you right where I was sitting, where he was praying for me. And I mean, it was a long prayer.
God really had you focus for those moments of memory so that you can point. That's why I love journaling so much. But he really all through your life had you remember when it happened, because you can't argue with yourself when you know that you know.
Yes, exactly.
You can't deny unless you willfully choose to believe a lie.
Exactly.
And some people do that.
Yeah.
But when you love the Lord, we can't believe that lie. Good.
No,
okay.
Absolutely not.
Keep going. I'm having light bulb moments as you're talking.
It's cool. This is where it's at, right? The blood's flowing.
Right. Yeah. Right? Yeah.
So, in the middle of all this, and there's a lot that I'm really not saying because there's people that are around.
Sure.
And they know.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to hurt anybody.
Sure.
But there was a lot of bad going on. And a lot of hurt, a lot of hurt. And I'm still trying to make it, still trying to push. But those moments carried me further.
Yeah.
They did. And in the end, I bought a house, I had a job. Trying to figure out. Basically, I had this moment finally of I was working Sundays again. I wasn't going back to church.
Were you divorced at this time?
I wasn't. But the marriage was done.
Yeah.
The marriage was for sure done. And but I was still trying to hold on. She was trying to make everything work.
With the Lord.
In
spite of the marriage going south.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what literally took place was I got sick and tired because I've thought of this so much, right?
Yeah.
But I got this job with Frito-Lay, and I had to start working on Sundays because I needed the money because I had this house that it took me 8 years to get this house. Finally get this house. And
which feels like success, right? Yes. It feels like a blessing. It is a blessing.
Yeah.
So you don't want to negate that.
Right. I still feel like it was a miracle that I got it.
Right.
But there was better ways of handling it. So That's when everything really started going. That was I was done.
Did you make a willful, conscious decision to be done?
No. What happened was, again, I stopped going to church because I was working. I was still trying. I was really trying. And then it got to the home life was just so horrible. And then my parents moved to Visalia. He took the church in Visalia. That there's a lot there. I'm probably moving what they would call anachronistically. I'm not exactly chronologically.
It's
in
okay.
order, but
we get the gist. Yeah.
So my parents are there. She's definitely dying of cancer, and it's not a marriage. I'm now, because I'm isolated, and most of my friends are now backslid. So the people that I hang out with are backslidden. So that's where it's at, right? So I'm with them, and they're the ones that are taking me in. They're the ones that you feel they're still my friends. I love them dearly, and they're still my friends.
Well, we're calling those backsliders home.
Amen. So they took me in, and that's when things just kind of because I just and then I'll never forget. Finally, I'm like, and then I started losing my house, and so I'm done. Like I was just I had been promised. I remember messages of financial blessings and stuff like that, and I'd given my whole life, and I was still struggling, still scratching, and I was like, man, what's the deal? Why am I still scratching? Why am I'm supposed to be blessed? And so I was like, you know what? I know I can do it my way, so I'm going to do it my way, and that's when I backslid. But it wasn't consciously. And then because Haley still remembers. I'd get my guitar out and I would sing songs with her. She'd get her little animals and we'd have church.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm,
So it wasn't a walking away from God, but it was there was a loss of faith somewhere, right? That God was going to show up or deliver or turn the situations around. And I can't imagine what losing your mom. I mean, were you guys praying for a miracle? I would imagine,
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what we do. We would expect God to move in that way.
Yes. Yeah. And she was an angel. Like, I never heard her lie, never heard her cuss, in fact, the moments that it would be angry, they're comical.
Right. Because it's not out of character, right? Yeah.
And there was I would call her every day. I would talk to her every day. And there's some promises that God told her that I'm still holding on to. She had a dream that my grandfather, he was backslidden, he would come back to God. And I never knew him to be in church. And then my ex-wife, she had a dream that she would get in church. And she actually did get back in church when I was in prison. She's not, whatever, again, that's another.
Yeah.
But, so those promises, and she had one more promise of me being successful and happy at one point. And this is before I started robbing banks and all that.
Michael, you robbed a bank.
Banks.
Oh, my word. I think you left that out in the questionnaire. But you know what? What wants to come out of my mouth is how exciting is that? But but not because it's just amazing God's faithfulness to his children.
So good.
Okay, so you took matters into your own hands to get rich.
Yes.
I'm sorry about your mom.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about your mom. I have both my parents still, and I don't know what that's going to be like. But that was a vulnerable age and a vulnerable time for you, going through your marriage and all the disappointment I'm sure that you were facing. Yeah. In addition to losing your rock and someone so loving.
Yeah, she got me.
Yeah.
Out of all the people, she understood me.
Yeah.
And, when you're seen by somebody.
Well, she's your mom.
Yeah.
Yes, when you're seen by somebody, it's everything. Yeah.
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 And so Yeah, I was tired. I was wore out.
Yeah.
And I knew that I knew I could rob banks.
Why did you know that? Like, who thinks of that?
So the thing is, I grew up not watching TV. So I read a lot of books. I lived, it helped. I found out, they said, it doesn't matter. But reading books would help me.
It does matter. What did they say?
Well, apparently some psychologists thought I might have been bipolar, be bipolar.
And so reading books would help you focus?
Yeah. And I definitely have ADHD, but these are all gifts. These are gifts.
I believe that. And anyways, we'll talk about the bipolar stuff later.
But yeah, it was definitely their gifts. And, so yeah, because in my manic, I have to pray. And then in my depression, I have to pray. I left this out. I'm so crazy glad that we brought this up. When I got married, she wouldn't like me going to the church to pray all night. But those moments would hold me. And those were the moments that helped me.
Because you learn to cope.
Yeah.
Because I think substance is the way people cope when they don't have a different way to cope, right? Because a lot of people with bipolar and depression will say that the drugs kind of level them out.
Yes.
And to be fair, it does. It's just the wrong way. It also killing you at the same time,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But isn't that like the devil? There's always this little silver lining that looks like it's a silver lining, but it's a death sentence.
Yeah, it's the fruit, right? It's desirable to the eye.
Right.
And it's great, but it's killing you at the same time.
Was your drug of choice meth?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think crank has the opposite effect of ADHD, and it does bring you down when you're manic. It kind of calms.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. So, so because you take that away, and so I definitely, there's a lot of layers because, I should have married the right person. I feel like the right person would have been awesome with me going, would have been supportive of me praying. Right. There probably should have been, there would have been communication, I think. I don't know. I wasn't there. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. So I can only postulate, but
also impatience, waiting on God.
Impatience.
Yeah. Jason Sisko, do you ever listen to him?
I heard him preach one time and I loved it. Yeah.
Well, he has Prayer Nation, and anyways, I remember him from Bible college. He preached at our church, and it was right. It was a great message, but I still have my notes on that from 1996.
No way.
Yeah.
96?
Yeah.
I think that's the message I heard. I'm not kidding. He was at CLC.
He was at our church. He came to Lighthouse, but
okay.
But I say that because he tells the story. I think if memory serves, he went all the way through Bible college, and felt very similar. Like he didn't fit, like he didn't belong.
Yeah.
He was single. And I want to say, I don't know if he found someone his senior year or after graduating, but God spoke to him through all of that about waiting and explained to him the loneliness he felt and gave him understanding in those areas. And he's talked about it.
Yeah.
Anyways, I've gleaned a lot from him over the years, and so
I'm definitely going to.
Because I feel like, and look at his ministry today. It's prophetic, and he very much. I think he still walks a lonely road, but God has given him a spouse to kind of be the person,
Yeah.
But anyways, go on. So, all the choices, but no matter what, God knew it all was going to happen, and he's got you. Yeah. And it's going to be exciting to see what unfolds for you.
Yes.
But I want to hear about the drama of being a bank robber. That's crazy.
So I'll never forget. So the answer.
And that never scared you?
No, I knew that I could plan it out. Like I said, I read books, right? So some of my heroes was like Black Bart.
Are these criminals?
Yeah,
okay.
But they're real,
right?
I would read their stories, right?
Right.
Jesse James, who wouldn't,
right?
Who wouldn't like him, But Doc Holliday actually wasn't an outlaw, but he would ride the outlaw trail. The kind of things. They were the people that I liked, read their books, thought they were really cool. A lot of Louis L'Amour, but what kid didn't read Louis L'Amour in the 90s? That was in the UPC. Anyways, so I read all these books, and I'm like, well, I know I could do this. And Black Barton.
That is a big level of confidence. But I would guess there was probably already, can I say, I don't want to say arrogance, but do you feel like there was, because that's a big stretch from a rational mind to say, oh, I read this book about how they did it in the 1800s and I'm going to go rob a bank.
Yeah.
I mean, have you thought about that? I'm just trying to get into what's happening in your brain to think that you could have gotten away with it.
So, yeah.
And you probably did for a while, I guess, if you did multiple.
Yeah. Yes. So they got me for 4 hostile takeovers. So that's interesting that you did that, because I've never thought of myself as an intelligent person. I don't think I did. But sometimes it would be perceived by people that way. And, but I always thought that I was kind of, ignorant.
You're probably much smarter than you gave yourself credit for.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't know. Yeah, I think.
Well, I can tell by the way your brain. I could tell by the things you said how your brain. You're paying attention to a lot of details, a lot of things. You're picking it from the environment. Yeah. You're reading people. You're taking it. I mean, I think not every kid is a reader. To be able to read books. There's so much great information. I'm just summarizing a little bit, but. Yeah. Probably more, it's just so natural for you because that's how you were. That's how you were wired. You probably didn't step back objectively and look at, how it all fits together and what God's given you actually. Yeah. In terms of intelligence and.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
I don't know what Dad thinks, but.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be, blow smoke either. No. I'm just saying I always look at, I like to understand the process. I like to understand what's happening with our emotions and our thoughts that's leading us to these steps. Like at what point does faith break down? At what point do we say, God, I love you and I want to live for you, but I'm in need right now, right this moment. I don't see you coming through.
Yes.
To where we don't have a way to understand that, you know? So I'm just hearing you talk and trying to see what your process was and all that.
That's great. I love that because you just triggered me in a couple areas in a good way, not because you brought back exactly the scenarios, right? So the scenario with my ex-wife, I had, there was always a process. I had done 2 back-to-back 2-year not dating, and so I expected, because I did these things, that God would
come through.
Yeah, I did my part.
We did we checked all the boxes.
Yeah, I did what I was asked for. Okay, so what are we doing here now? Like, let's, and then I would hear all these preachings about if you give, it'll be given back to you.
Right. Pressed down, shaken together, will men give it to your bosom. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, hey, I've done my part. Right. Well, where you at? Let's go. People, I found this out later that ADHD also makes you very black and white, where I don't.
But I think our religion, no offense to our religion.
Not at all.
But I think we were taught black and white. It's either this or it's this.
Yes.
And I don't think that's any fault of anything. I think it's just constructs that... because we're either sinning or we're living for God, right? And even the Bible says, you're either serving the enemy or you're serving God. You can't serve.
There's no neutral ground.
Right. So it's very difficult to understand that God is a God of process because we set up our expectations as either or.
Yes, exactly.
And he is not an either or.
He's not an either or God.
He's trying to always reveal himself to us in the fruit of the Spirit, which patience is one.
Yes. If you look at, so again, we bring back what he's done, right? you could just go to the first chapter of the book of Genesis, right?
Right.
You see that it's layer upon layer. It's one day added to the next.
Right.
The rakia is the firmament is what we translate firmament, right? But that holds everything in.
Right.
So that everything he creates later can set in its place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's always been a God of layer upon layer.
Right.
Abraham, when you look at his story, it's 10 being, I don't.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We won't get into all that right now.
But
yeah.
bottom line is he
Right.
adds upon adds upon
Right.
adds.
Right.
And then the wilderness, he adds upon adds upon adds. David, he added.
Line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
Right. But when we're kids, I mean, it just takes God to reveal those things, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we just have to learn that in our walk with God.
Yes.
But we don't know that necessarily at the time. We're just needing God to show up. And so when he doesn't, we don't have a way to understand that.
Yeah. But
thankfully he knows our heart.
He does. And that's funny you said that, because I loved God my whole life.
So did I.
Through all that.
Yeah.
I loved him, and it hurt that I wasn't,
Right.
And I felt hurt by him, right?
Right.
And people don't want to say that.
It's disappointment.
Yeah.
Because it's all we knew of him. He had to teach us the rest.
Yes. I'm saying, this is your word.
Right.
You told me this.
Right.
I believe this. So what's going on?
All those seeds, though, Michael, are still going to give a harvest. They've just been dormant.
Yes, 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 yes. God has been answering prayers from me being a kid, even now.
Yeah.
He's doing it. He doesn't, not prayer, no one prayer doesn't go by.
Right.
That
I
one
believe
prayer.
that. Yeah.
And, but yeah, he's a prayer answering God. He's a good God. And so I was tired of being tired. And so but the answer is I guess that does take arrogance, right? And pride. Both of them were arrogance and pride with marrying my ex, because I chose her.
I recognize it because I had it too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So I don't think we knew that. We don't do that on purpose. It's just a byproduct probably of our humanity.
Yes.
That's not submitted, but
yes. Because that's what it's all about. It's a humble.
Right.
Humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, and he will exalt you.
Right.
That goes back to Genesis.
Well, and probably you were trying to fulfill your calling, right?
Yes.
I got a word in 1995, and I was trying to help God for, 30 something years.
Yeah.
Fulfill his word to me. I was trying to help
I love
him.
the way you said that.
And, yeah, but it just led to mistake after mistake. And so, anyways, I say that because you believed his word to you.
Yes.
And so when it doesn't line up, it can be very confusing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you're right. So that's this. So yeah, here I was. I was losing my house. I lost my job. I was losing my job, losing my marriage.
Was that because of drugs? Or just, did you just quit on life?
I feel like, so my job is because, my ADHD and the bipolar kind of makes it difficult if you don't manage it properly.
Okay.
And I there was some mistreatment there too, but I think, because this is, full disclosure, it's nothing, right. I had nothing against anybody. But if in the right situation, I've been fine. It would have been okay. But because it's my fault, really, my ADHD makes it difficult to do this one part of the route. But the box routes, I was great. No problem. I overcame. I figured it out, and I was really proud of that. And then I was put on another route, and I turned in something wrong or whatever. And anyways, that made me lose my job.
Okay.
It made me feel less of a man too.
Of course. Yeah.
I was struggling. I was trying. I really was. And then, and then I wanted to start my own business, and that was not going through. So I was like, you know what? I know I can rob banks because I've done.
Had
these
you been fantasizing about that
I've
before?
been thinking about it. I wouldn't use the adjective fantasy because I didn't really want to. But I definitely put myself in a situation. If I had to, this is what I would do.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe the adjective fantasy would work. I just think in my mind I was
fantasy leads to a different motive than what survival does. So I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
But I wonder where that thought came from in the first place. Like, where did that seed get planted about?
As a teenager, I think. Because as a teenager, I got these outlaws. I didn't realize at the time why I was connecting, but they have the similar emotions that I was struggling with. Some of these guys
So you were relating to them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Man, I need to write that down. Keep going.
So, we call it mental health. I don't like calling it mental health. These are blessings. These are blocks that God's given us, but whatever. And, but you could see that I could subconsciously read through the lines that these guys, we were the same people.
Right.
And Black Bart for sure. His story was out of San Francisco. He successfully robbed stagecoaches for Wells Fargo at the end he got caught, and then when he got out they were being robbed again, and so they said, hey, look, we know it's you, but we'll pay you a retirement to stop robbing us. And he actually started working for them and help capture.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy story, but he definitely had the same loneliness and stuff like that. His wife and kids were in another state, I don't remember where, but he was sending the money.
So you found
back.
a point of relation.
Yeah.
And you saw yourself in them.
Yeah.
So that gave you some identity.
Yes, absolutely.
Because if it's not going to be the preacher identity, which is quickly going down the drain with the loss of your marriage. Then you needed a new identity.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, because now I have something to fit in.
Right.
Yeah, my preaching as a preacher, I definitely felt, I knew I was in my purpose, and that was my calling, and that was what absolutely, that was my identity. Well, I liked how you unpacked that. That was really cool.
Identity is such I think that's at the core of what's happening in most areas, but it's been so associated with the LGBTQ world, but it's still like every little kid is struggling with identity, and tons of grown adults are struggling. Yes. Right. So if we answered the identity issue, it would alleviate, I think, a lot of the rejection and abandonment and loneliness. I mean, it does. God's going to fix the deepest wounds and all of that. But
yes, he does too.
Wow, that is so interesting. So one day were you using substance at this time as well, or were you just focused on finding a way to?
I was heavily drinking. Big time. And then I didn't even realize how bad it was until I heard my oldest daughter talking about it. But I'll tell you a story. I mean, it may not be funny, but my neighbor, he lost his job. So he was from Mexico. So he didn't speak English, and but we communicated, and I found out what was wrong with him. So I was like, hey, well, I started having him work on my house and the property and all that. Well, I'm definitely backsliding at the time and robbing banks already. So I take him to Home Depot. We get our stuff, and I stop. I give him a case of beer, and I bought me a case of beer that he liked. And so, anyways, we were doing this every day. He's like, no more, no mas, no mas. I'm like, why? He goes, my wife, she enojado. I'm like, what? He goes, she's very angry at me. Every day I come home drunk. I didn't even know. I was like, really? I didn't realize how bad it was. You know?
Right.
But yeah, so I was definitely, it got to a point I was hiding my alcohol at my neighbor's house and things like that. Because I was just trying to escape, So, so I'll never forget, I was losing the house. I needed to take care of it. And so I was like, okay. I planned it out. I kind of read other bank robbers, looked in the news and stuff like that, how they did it, how people got away. And I recognized the way of doing it. So I was like, all right. And I knew this one bank pretty well. And so planned it out and timed it. I went through the kind of scenario in my head and actually did the whole process, practiced it, and did a dry run. And it's like, okay. And
I'm looking at his dad who's sitting here wondering what he's thinking about all this.
Yeah. So, So I'll never forget. I had a bicycle because nobody knows people on a bike. I parked the vehicle in a residential area and drove the bicycle from the vehicle through the park and then to the bank. And this was my first one. And I timed it out right, tried to anyways, and went in and it's like, good morning. And they're like, good morning. And I wore disguise because if you wear a mask, it's all immediately, they're going
to notice.
Yeah. This one had an armed bank guard outside too, by the way. And so there was a lady on the phone. I hung up her phone and said, okay, this is a bank robbery. And
were you armed?
I was, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I pulled out the gun and then they, and I immediately felt bad when they got quiet and raised their hands. I felt, oh man, this is awful, So they were walking, I had told them where to go, and the manager, I'll never forget, she was, she opened the safe, and I just was feeling horrible already. And
that sounds so contrary to what someone would feel, right?
Yeah, and I was just like, oh man, this is not cool. And then she dropped the stacks of money, and she started crying. She's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, whoa, it's okay. I go, I'm sorry. Just stand in the corner. I'm sorry. I hope you're going to be okay. And I'm so sorry for this. And I put the money and I told her, I hope you have a better day. And I left. Well, I walk out. The armed guard was right there. I had the money in the backpack and the guns were in my waist under the hoodie. And I was like, good morning. He's like, good morning. And I walked off, got on the bike and rode off. But yeah, God protected me. I had just robbed an armed guard's bank and he didn't even know it. But wow. So I get on the bike, ride it, put it in the, got in the vehicle and took off. But I did do and that was, I remember driving and the cops were coming this way, going to the bank that I just robbed. And I remember thinking, oh, man, I don't like this, but I can do it, And
I would think, though, what an ego boost. I know it's the total wrong way, but but that's what happens, right? So what went through your mind and what did you feel? I would imagine you'd be elated.
I was.
Were you scared? Were you, did
all of that. Yeah. I'll never forget.
How long before you robbed your second one after the first one?
It was about 6 months. Incidentally, by accident, maybe not by my accident, it was accident on my part, maybe not, maybe there was some more providential areas behind this, but it was March 27th was the day I robbed that bank. The reason why I know that is because the last bank I robbed was March 27th the next year, the very same day, and it happens to be, he's like a son to me, he's my roommate. It's his birthday. So it's kind of a crazy
connection.
Yeah, synchronicity there. But and Haley's birthday, my daughter's, is the 31st. So not March, May 27th. Incidentally, so you're right. I did feel like, wow, I can actually do this. Like, wow, I'm actually okay. And then the thing is, you can't talk about it. You can't tell nobody about it.
Right.
You can't, I'd look in the newspaper to see, And
I would think it'd be hard to quit when you get away with something.
Yeah. I was able to pay my bills. I felt good about that too. And it was nice to finally make money for once in my life. And I'm like, wow.
You didn't make money.
Right.
It's good to have money, maybe.
Misspoke. Yes, it's good to have money, not make money. I let me clarify that. A little faux pas there. Yes. I felt good to have money.
So so you were still drinking during all this?
Yeah.
So how long did that go on before you got caught, and how did you get caught?
It took another year. I was told on. So it would happen. I needed the money. I'd finally have to go get it and rob another bank. And then I would live off of that money. And then then wait until I could see that the stacks were getting low again. And
why didn't you think about robbing a convenience store or someplace like that with less risk, not a federal crime? Well, I think maybe that. Oh, yeah. Because they could get the money back.
Yeah, the banks were getting their money back.
Well, you were a considerate bank robber.
Well, it's crazy. I couldn't rob from a normal person, but I felt like if I robbed from a bank, at least they were getting their money back.
It wasn't a complete loss.
Yeah.
And was, this is probably TMI, but I'm just curious, sidebar from the backslider piece, but was it always the same amount, similar amount?
No.
I don't know if banks have money set aside in case they get robbed.
They'd have a bag. It was a bag a lot of times. And then, but the average is about 50 grand, like usually. Because I'm just going to the vault. I'm not hitting the tellers. I just wanted to grab one quick, because I was in and out with 1 minute. This was my goal. And if I could, I would love to hit the ATM, if I'm being honest. I'm being honest. I'd rather hit the ATM because that's 200,000 in a case. But
you really did your homework.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the thing. And so that's what helped. I mean, it didn't help. It was like it made me realize that I actually can succeed. I can be successful, even though it was a wrong success. But it was something that I planned out and that I
felt like you had control
I felt I had control. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Something was said yesterday in church that it hit me about the deep being Ezekiel's hope in 37, how that the water was oozing from the temple, that when people were standing in the shallow, their feet are still on the ground. They're still in control.
I'm going to have to think about that's good.
The deep, you're not in control.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
Bethel sings a song that was my song for many years about being in the deep. I forget the name of it, but it's a beautiful.
Yeah.
It's about complete surrender.
Surrender.
Yeah. To God, because
that's what it's about.
Yeah, because your head's just barely above water, but that deep calleth unto deep.
Yes, that's where it's at.
And you'll never be satisfied with less.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So how did you get caught, and what?
This is my fourth one. This one in particular, I broke my rules on purpose. I had rules that I set. I said, this is what I'm going to do, this and that. And so this one, I was done. I after talking about it and thinking about it, I think I was ready to go. I think I was...
like subconsciously.
Yeah, like I was done. I was done hiding, because I had to hide it. I was lying where the money was coming from. They're finding out bags of money, like, where's this at? Where'd you do? So it's kind of hard to explain that. So I was really, and I was done with my life. And so I said,
what do you mean by that?
I think I was done. I knew that I was going to get caught eventually. And I thought for sure I was going for life because I knew the rules. And
you weren't bothered by that.
No, I mean, it was not cool. Right. But I had a plan first. I was going to go to, now we're talking, I was going to go to Mexico, from Mexico to Morocco, because Morocco is a non-extraditable country. But the problem is I would never be able to contact my kids again, because even though America won't extradite, they'll pay contractors to kidnap you. And so...
wow. I am shocked at the research you did. You thought you would get caught, but then you'd skip out on bail. You would pay bail, and then you would just leave the country.
Yeah. But I can't do that.
Okay, can I just say it's a little scary how premeditative all that was?
Yeah.
This is a Pentecostal preacher right here. Premeditating is, wow.
Yeah.
But I mean, that so much talk about with that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that in I don't want to say a good way, but in a good way, in that, you definitely were equipped. You definitely are equipped. That only comes from God. The enemy just tries to hijack what God gives us. But
yes,
wow. I hope you never let him lie to you again that you're not smart, or you're not worthy, or you're not able, because clearly that's a lie.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, because that's some very purposeful, intentional, dedicated, disciplined thing you had going on there. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. You're saying this stuff, and it's actually you're hitting home, because I had some work done with psychologists in prison, and they touched on it, but seeing it from a Holy Ghost filled point of view, that's what the enemy will hijack what you have and turn it for evil.
Right. And I'm just going to say this too. We have to be very careful what we believe about our physical health and our mental health, because once a belief gets grounded, we come into agreement often with the enemy about things that are never meant to be true for our lives. And so I am a therapist, but I will say that probably all mental health conditions are spiritual in nature, and I'm in the process of proving, at least doing research on that right now. But because we know how powerful the belief system is, so don't get too comfortable with a bipolar diagnosis, because God doesn't make mistakes when he makes us. He doesn't make us with flaws. He doesn't make, all that stuff is given to us. And even the devil used physical health to attack Job.
Yes.
And so we know that the devil can attack us physically.
Yes.
But that's a demonic attack, and God is perfect. God, he makes us perfect. So anyways, don't get too comfortable with that. But I know that in the short term, there is a need to understand and to make sense, because it doesn't make sense. And I would say too, in an unredemptive process, that, it is probably bipolar.
Yeah.
But our ignorance to all of that, and I mean that in a good way, also prevents us from allowing God to redeem it and to completely heal it.
Yes. Amen. 100%. Amen. Absolutely.
So, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, and when you brought that up, it ran through my mind that, because these thoughts, right, they hit you at a young age. Right. That's why I was talking, I don't like all these, some of the things about teachers. He attacks you when you're a kid.
Yes, he does.
And just like he attacks you at the beginning of your ministry, right?
Yes.
Jesus in the wilderness,
right.
Adam and Eve in the garden.
Because all that, what you just said, Jesus and that, it's all about identity.
Yeah,
it's so hard for us to embrace the fact that we might be valuable.
Yes.
And that God really could be for us, because the lies of the enemy. But you're right. It starts with kids, and I can see, and this keeps coming up. This is the research I'm doing about intrusive thoughts, because intrusive thoughts are never just isolated. There is always other spiritual element, and it begins in childhood.
Yes.
When kids start having nightmares, when they start feeling like there's something in the room at night, when they feel that is very real. And so that's what I was talking about, the seed getting planted. It gets planted.
Yeah.
And so it does grow and bears fruit over time unless we unpluck it.
Yes.
And anyways, that's my soapbox. I'm going to be quiet now.
Oh, you kidding me? This is
but
amazing.
I love that you just said that, because that confirms so much of what I have been seeing in my work with kids.
Yes.
And what I believe to be true is the lies that just, or the little thought, because, they did a study once in a big old conference, and the speaker said, how many here has ever thought about running your car off the overpass? And almost the whole room of thousands of people raise their hands.
No way.
It's an intrusive thought.
Yes.
And I have people all the time, teenagers, kiddos, they just start driving, and this is the thought. I wonder what would happen if. And that seed has already been planted. So anyways, it sounds like that's what happened to you. And,
Absolutely.
We don't realize today, I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I did have TV in my home growing up, but we went through periods of time when they didn't, and when they did, when they didn't, when they did. And now I look back and I think, gosh, there was so much truth about the standards that was set out back then. We couldn't go to movies, couldn't watch TV.
Yeah.
And man, I have grandkids now, but if I was raising a kid, I wouldn't want them to watch TV. I wouldn't want them to go to movies.
Yeah.
I would want to shelter and protect them from all of that, because all of it is an introduction. It's just something that they, maybe they notice it, maybe they don't, but they're all seeds, in my opinion, that could potentially grow if we don't catch it.
Oh, there's a massive amount of suicide being in our kids now.
Oh, massive.
And that's coming from the media. It's for sure. Yeah.
So anyone out there, get ready your TV. The UPC had it right the first time.
Just don't read about Black part.
Yeah. No names of books. No, but it is so true. And, when kids are imaginative and when they're creative and they think and, anyways, it's so powerful. But the fact that you said that is so interesting to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get arrested. I guess you didn't get to go on the run. What happened?
Okay, so here's what happened. It was the last bank. I broke all my rules, and I go into the bank, and it was a fiasco, right? There was too many people in there. I usually would hit it on the Thursday at 10:30 in the morning, because Thursdays is less people. And it's right after the morning rush, and it's right before the lunch rush. So that means it's less.
Right. Overall.
And I learned this from Black Bart. You don't
give anyone out their ideas.
You don't want citizens involved, right?
Right.
You just want
you want the money.
Yeah. That's all I wanted was the money.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, there was an old lady in there. Elderly lady. I shouldn't say old. I wasn't being disrespectful. But I was telling everybody on the ground. And she started to go down. I was like, whoa, you okay, ma'am? You can sit down if you want. And I went and I got in her chair. And I was like, man, this is going to take, already things were just going out of control. There's too many people. And so I said, you know what, just give me the money right there. And I left. Well, there's, again, way too many people. So I leave, and I took too much time. And the cops it's called the dragnet. They were already... but because the way I was dressed, I didn't look like a bank robber, and I was riding a bike, I beat that dragnet. I got
away.
Yeah, wasn't very far away from the cop at all. I talked to him, jumped in the truck, and drove off. Left the bike there. But they were looking, and I remember I was at a red light, and I waited, and it's hard. Your heart's beating. And I'm like, man, I wanted to run this red light, but I said, nope, stay right here. And all the cops passed me. And then I just drove on, and then driving home, that street, I went on it a while back, and all those memories came back on me. I was just like, this is not cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, I get home, and a friend of mine called me and said, hey, it looks like they're looking for you. So
how'd they know? How did your friend know that they were looking for you?
They put me on Facebook or media or something.
So they knew who you were.
Yeah, because I wasn't wearing a mask; I was wearing a disguise.
Okay.
So, but because
they discovered your identity,
and if I would have done it, if I would have followed my rules, I probably would have been killed, definitely at some point. But because I was in our hometown, you're not supposed to dirty your own backyard, right? Mm-hmm. But I was in my own hometown. People knew who I was, and so they called in the hotline and said, "Yeah, I know who he is," And so I could have left even then, but all this ran through my mind. So you know what? If I take off, I'll never be able to. Riley was 2 years old. Haley was 9. I'll never be able to. I wouldn't be able to talk to him again.
Yeah.
So I'd rather spend the rest of my life in prison and still be able to at least talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
And so
you made a conscious choice to stay.
Yeah, so I did. And I hid the gun somewhere, but that gun turned up, and I hid some money somewhere. But anyways, all that got discovered. All my efforts were foiled.
Yeah.
And then they got me at the house. And but my neighbor did have. I took Riley to my neighbor's, so she was 2, so she didn't experience. Yeah.
How much prison time did you serve?
So this is a miracle. So it started out because they were all hostile takeovers. There's kidnappings if you move.
Yeah, major felonies.
Yeah. So I was looking at 3 life sentences with the state of California, And
wow, Michael, that's incredible.
Yeah. I'll never forget the jail that they were holding me in is actually closed now because it's inhumane. But while we were in it, they were saying it's not livable, and they were paying a fine for it. So I was in an inhumane jail. Okay, and I'm not hyperbolizing at all. It was like about 120 degrees at one point on 4th of July. I'll never forget, 2011. And if you could imagine, so this is the jail. The road right here on this side of it is where the parade is. And every year I would take my daughters to the parade.
Yeah.
They were right there at that parade. My jail cell was right here on the top floor. I think it's Y or X. I think it was Y or no, Z. It was Z section. And anyways, and they were right here. So 120 degrees, they had this fan blowing. So it was like this whole major, like a hair blower kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I said, well, this is it. This is the rest of my life. So I can either be horrible for the rest of my life, or I can be thankful for what I got and live for God and love for God. And I remember praying for a Bible. I didn't even have a Bible. I was just trying to quote the scriptures in my mind.
How long had you been sentenced yet, or was this right?
This is all
after your arrest.
Yeah, I got arrested in twice, because they actually got out for a month on
good recognizance.
Yeah, recognizance. I can't even speak English. Sorry, but they put up money bail, and I was out for a month, and that was good because I was able to be around my mom for one last moment, and then and be around my kids for just a little bit. I actually came here to Visalia to a wedding. My cousin got married, and then took a train trip back, and that was pretty much it. And then I spent a weekend with them, with my parents, and my dad let me borrow his book, Omar Khayyam. Still remember that. It's a great book. Anyways, so these were by Harold Harold Lamb. Anyways, so those were little moments that I had that were, good God moments, right? So then they came back and got me, because then they realized there was more banks involved, because they only got me for one at first, and then they got me for some more banks. And they're like, oh, this guy's going to be gone for life, so we shouldn't have him out on bail. So they put me back, and so now it's 4th of July, and I'm looking at 3 life sentences, and that's when I knew my daughter was right there, and I said, okay, God, this is it. Let's go. And there was a message preached on a Wednesday night by John Quinones in the Modesto Church. He's the assistant pastor. And he wasn't at the time. He was, I think, a youth pastor at the time. But he preached about, on the foundation of David's greatest failure is the temple built. And I remember I took that and received that for me. Yeah. And later on in prison, I called him. I said, hey, do you still believe that was for me? He goes, yes, absolutely. I believe that was for you. So then I'm like, okay. And I'm just laying there, and it's
Solomon.
Yeah.
I've looked at that story so many times because Solomon was the greatest king, the wisest. I mean, God turned around and blessed him after. And that's so powerful. That blessed me a long time ago when I first fell in love with my Bible. To see the love of God show up that way. And anyways, that I'm going to.
He's awesome. No, there's a lot. I'd love to touch that sometime. But so I held on to that promise. Bishop Morgan had preached a message about that God gives these promises to you. And he held on to Peter. Peter was not worried when he was in prison, because he knew that he was going to live longer. Right. And so he went to sleep. Yeah. He's like, he rested. Yeah, God's got him. So I'm like, you know what? God gave me these promises. I don't think if I am, but I don't think I'm going to be here for the rest of my life. And I said, but anyway, at either rate, here I am, God. I give it all to you. And I was in that situation for about a month, and then they transferred me to the detention center that's open now. That was all brand new back then. And I think it was. And anyways, a lot going on, but I kept holding on, and I believed it was there. It was there in the detention center that God spoke to me, and he told me that I'm not going to do life, that he's going to take care of me. And I said, okay, all right. So I began praying, and praying. And I was 280 pounds. I got down to like 200. I lost 80 pounds.
Wow.
And they couldn't recognize me in a lineup. So the feds picked me up.
Was that on purpose?
I purposely lost weight. I was exercising and wouldn't eat bread. They had good biscuits, by the way. Side note. But I wouldn't eat them. I'd give them away. And I didn't hardly ask for any money on my books, because I didn't want to spend it on,
junk.
Yeah. So I kept it simple and lost 80 pounds in 6 months and exercised. And anyways, the feds picked me up. And it was the day before Christmas. It was day before Christmas Eve. It was the 23rd of December of 2011.
Because by now you're just picked up by local law enforcement.
Yes.
Feds hadn't stepped in yet to take over the case.
Yeah. So I knew I was looking at 3 life sentences during the whole state time.
Right.
But now the feds picked me up the day before Christmas Eve. And I have all this stuff that people had given me. I had a white shirt that my sister-in-law bought me. And she's amazing, by the way. So the FBI picked me up, and I'm changing into some clothes out of their clothes, and it's super quiet. Oh no, I need to back up. In August, my mom passes away, and there was a Brother Evans would show up every week to my to the, and we're locked down 23-1. My door would pop, and I knew Brother Evans would want me. I'd go see him. That was my church. And then, anyways, when my mom died, she died on a Sunday. And that Monday morning, my cell was not supposed to pop. My door was not supposed to pop open, and it popped open, and I knew that she had passed away.
That was a sign from God.
Yeah, yeah. And he came and he saw me, and I'll never forget. I'll never forget that. And it was really cool for God to move and give me somebody.
Yeah.
And because it's lonely in there.
Yeah.
And have somebody
Which
there.
was your Achilles heel.
Yeah. So it just heightened everything. I was a weird kid. And so, and then.
You weren't a weird kid. You just had a great need.
Yeah. And so God took care of me over there. And I remember I was able to talk to my mom. My daughter got the Holy Ghost that camp that summer. And she told me Jason West was the one that prayed for her. And I remember talking to my mom right before she died that Wednesday. I called her and I told her, I said, to tell Jesus and King David, I said hi. And she said she would. So David knows who I am.
Well, there you go. That's a great testimony.
That's cool, right?
That's so funny. So when did you get out? So
they picked me up that 23rd, and I told everybody, Merry Christmas. They were like, but there's another miracle. The FBI takes me to my house. They're like, man, you have all this stuff. They go knock on the door. They get my kid, and Haley is 9 years old, and Riley's just 2, and they get Serena, and they all come out, and they give them my stuff, and I was able to tell them goodbye.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
What a gift, because that was probably not common.
That's so not common.
Yeah.
And so then they drive me to Fresno, and that's where the federal holding is there. And I remember coming into the courtroom. It's packed because everybody wants their family members to come out for Christmas. And the judge, she was reading off all my charges, and it got up to 150 years. And the people are like making exclamations in the courtroom. And they're like, oh my, and oh. And even the judge is shaking her head. And I just remember going, God, you got me. You got me. This is going to be all right. It's going to be all right. And sure enough, the first deal was 90. No, what they were trying to charge me was 90 years. The first deal was 39 years. And they said, if you don't sign the 39, we're going to give you 92. And I was like, well, there's no difference between 39 and 92.
Right.
And I remember the second deal was 32 years. They said, and I said, nope. And they're like, my lawyer's like, what are you talking about? This is normal. This is what, And I was like, no, God told me he's going to take care of me. I'm going to get a better deal. I'm going to get a better deal. God told me. And weeks before trial. 2 weeks before trial, the prosecutor that was trying to prosecute me had a family emergency. His son, I actually have never said this out. I don't think I've said this out loud. Maybe I have once. His son got cancer. So I started praying for his own son.
Wow.
And we got a new prosecutor, and she didn't really want to deal with me. So she gave me a deal for 16 years. This is my third deal. And he came.
That is miraculous.
It's God.
Yeah.
It's God.
That's
God.
miraculous.
Absolutely God. And I found out even greater because once I got in prison, I seen guys that did like two jobs, and they were doing 40 years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And one guy, was in one. He did one, and he was like 45 years.
No, that's just the hand of God
hand
for
of God,
sure.
100%. And then I signed it, and I'm crying. I go over back to my people that I've been around.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got it for 16 years. And everyone's like cheering like I scored a touchdown.
Right,
like,
right.
yes.
Right.
Yeah. But I was going to chapel on Sundays, and the lady said, you know what? I believe God's going to give you a better deal. I gave a testimony, she said, I believe God's going to give you a better deal. And so I said, all right. And I believe it. So I believed him for a better deal.
That you were at peace.
I was totally at peace.
Yeah.
I'm getting out. At first I wasn't going to get out.
Right.
Now I'm getting out.
Right.
And I'm getting out at a time that it's reasonably a good year. Right. So, and at this time, none of these federal things have kicked in yet. Only the crack law kicked in while I was in, and the adjustment of the crack law. But they were talking about the meth law being adjusted, which is they call it the 2 points law, then a 2 points law rather. And they were talking about this thing was going to be called the First Step Act, where you're going to get more time, a halfway house and stuff. But I'm a violent criminal, so none of these things are supposed to apply.
None apply, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, but I kept believing God for them, right? And people would say, "No, it's not going to happen." Oh, let me jump back. So I go to the courtroom. It's my time. I've felt so isolated, so alone. They had me in Laredo Max, not in Fresno, because even in Fresno, people come see me, but now I'm in Laredo Max. It's hard for people to see me. A guy named Monte Abelos, he's with Jesus now, but amazing man of God. He came and visited me, and then he had other people come and visit me. He was a Christian, Jewel. Mm-hmm. And anyways, so may his memory be blessed. He was a good man. I'm now isolated, and I come out, and I was always cussed, in this black box. I was always black boxed. And so I'm and they changed my time because my family shows up. Mm. And apparently my loved ones, they filled the courtroom.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was pretty cool, and
because so many families turn their back.
Yeah. Some drove up all the way from LA, but like the Clarks drove all the way from LA, Ontario area, and then Fresno's far from Modesto. They don't,
right.
They go to Sacramento. They don't go to Fresno.
Right.
So they all drove down, and I get in there. And this is important. Besides the fact that all of a sudden I felt loved, I walk in and I'm trying to tell everybody I love you, like with the black box. And I'm looking out there and trying to read it all in. It's pretty cool. And I see this young lady sitting in the front. I thought she was a cousin that grew up because I just didn't recognize her. But I tell her I love you, Mm-hmm. And then I go and it's my turn to talk, and I talk. And I was talking from the heart, and I turned back to tell my dad, "Hey, I'm sorry for being putting a black mark on your name and all that." And I'm crying, and everybody else is crying, and that young lady's crying. So I just don't think anything of it. Well, the judge, Judge O'Neill, he says, "I've never seen this many bank robberies and have no victims like come in and write a letter." They went to work the next day. I was trying to be polite. I'm sorry if you're watching this. I do apologize for robbing your bank. So anyways, long story short, I tried to be, I don't know. Anyways, I wasn't trying to be hurtful or anything.
Right.
So he goes, "I've never seen that, and never seen that. I've seen a person where they're going down the highway and they'll do it's like they."
The 360.
Yeah, exactly. He said, obviously there's some substance abuse, which there was. And he goes, I'm not going to give you the 16 that you signed for, or there was a 20-year minimum, and I'm the only one on my case. So this is total God. There's no
attorney involved.
Yeah. Oh, well, no, the attorney, but the thing is, what I mean by that is that's
there's no accessories, right?
So I'm not snitching on nobody.
Right.
Look, and if that's your testimony, good. I'm not judging. I'm just saying. You know,
right. You didn't have a deal to make.
I didn't have a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Thank you. Exactly. That's how I should say it. So 20-year minimum. He goes, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give you hope. And he took one more year off. He gave me 180 months, 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah. He goes, I've been up since 5 o'clock or 3 o'clock that morning. And so I'm thankful. The prosecutor got up and she was crying.
Wow.
That's not
right.
Nothing I could say to make a prosecutor cry.
Right.
That's
right,
God.
Right.
You know what
right,
I mean?
Right.
Turns out that the young lady that was crying was the prosecuting assistant.
Oh, wow.
So God moved in that courtroom.
Yes.
God moved.
Well, I imagine all your family was praying too.
Oh, 100% their prayers. 100%. I mean, Tirso Gonzalez, I don't know if you know him.
I'm horrible with names.
That's so cool. He's a pastor in Fresno. He was there. Mike Simmons, the family cousins, he was there. It was packed, you know. So
did you do the 15, Mike?
So this is thank you for telling me. So I go to prison. And I still believe God was going to do something, even though I'm a violent criminal. Nothing's supposed to happen. Trump signs this thing called the Second Step Act. That opens the door for all these programs. And
is that when they started releasing people from prison?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because all of us good conservative Republicans got really angry about that. But I'm glad that someone like you were able to get out because of that.
Yeah. But the programs, see, if you put just a side note, from somebody that's been in prison, if you treat somebody like a dog, they're going to be a dog when they get out.
Yeah.
If you train somebody to stay in a cage, they're going to want to stay in the cage.
Right. We see that over the recidivism.
It's horrible.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I think they gave me a 20% chance of making it because I've done so much time that to go back, and it's hard. I'm not gonna lie. The first year, it's still hard, but the first
because you have to associate, right? You have to gang up and become into a game. Yeah.
100%.
How much time did you serve?
So I did 13 years total. The last year of it though was 11 and a half months was in Oakland at a halfway house.
Okay.
So 12 of it was behind bars, and the last year was.
Right.
11 and a half months was out. It was in public, but I would get locked up every night, at the halfway house. That Second Step Act is what helped. I was taking all these programs and all that. It was a miracle. The long story of it, to cut it short, I was supposed to originally come to Fresno, but I was checking with my counselor or the secretary, and she goes, no, you're going to San Francisco or Oakland. I was like, what? And she goes, yeah. So I was transferred to Oakland. But I also got 11 and a half months. I was the first violent criminal, from what I understand, in my prison to get more than 6 months halfway house.
Wow.
God. So I did 12, really, behind bars. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. On a 15-year sentence.
Wow.
A violent criminal.
And then you did the rest, and then the other 2 years was because of the Trump Act. So
yes.
None for good time served.
So the good time was that 15%.
Okay,
and that that also added 105 days because they adjusted our time that was messed up. So because I did so much time, it was 7 days a year. They gave me another 105 days. That put it on thank you for bringing that up. Then they gave me more, like 5 more months extra halfway house. So that put me outside at 12, even though the last half of that was still behind, but I was still able to go to church. Right. That's the other part of the miracle. Do you know Greg Godwin? He's an evangelist.
I don't know names much.
You know what? My bad. I apologize. But Greg Godwin gets a hold of me while I was in the halfway house. And he goes, you need to go to Bishop Morgan's church. Well, I'm trying to.
Because he's in San Francisco.
Yeah. So I'm trying to ninja out of this, right? I'm not still trying to, you know what I mean?
Wait, you're still not trying to be part of UPC?
Right. I wanted to come back to God, right? Absolutely.
But you wanted to not be a part of the church.
Right. I thought it was just going to be like.
Right.
So I'm
because it's scary.
Yeah. And I loved God. I served God in prison. There's a period of time in prison where I was like, let's go. And it was rough. It was rocky, but I did. I studied. I learned a lot of things and started because I knew at one point I'm going to come back to church.
Yeah.
So I started studying the Bible, and because people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan, right? So I'm like, hey, God's going to still use me. He's still got me. So I started studying and praying and reading and digging. And, but I didn't know if it was going to be UPC. I thought it was going to be like independent or some, you know. Right. And so I'm in the 3-day blackout period, and a guy named Shane Hunt gets a hold of me, and he I remember David Short, I was telling you about, and he pastors in Arizona. David Short emails a guy named Jeremy Hogue, who's Bishop Morgan's son-in-law.
Yes. Yeah. I buy clothes from his wife.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So.
Yeah. And then, so Jeremy, and then, so Greg Godwin gets a hold of Jeremy, and then Shane Hunt gets a hold of Jeremy. He says, Jeremy, you need to go see Mike in Oakland. So he comes and sees me. I get out April 12th, and he sees me the 24th. 2 weeks later. So I never have a chance to. I went to one Baptist church and it was horrible. Nothing against Baptist church, but it was just the message was horrible.
Not the same.
I know. I'm like, no, this is not me. So, so Jeremy sees me. He picks me up. There's another thing. You know how ladies have this hope chest for when they get married. You know. When I was in prison, I was going to get out. So I had this little hope chest, you know? Wow. And there's a brand that's not a very well-known brand, but I like it. And nobody really knows about it unless you like lumberjacks or something, you know? So he's wearing one of those shirts. Oh. And I'm like, no way. I'm like, you like that? And he goes, how do you know? Like, we were both like, there's no way. Okay, so he picks me up in his truck. We drive around to MacArthur into Adams Point right here. He goes, I was praying for you this morning. He goes, and God doesn't normally speak to me this quickly. He goes, but God told me Samson's hair began to grow. Does that mean anything to you? And I just began to bawl because for the last 2 years, I was mad, angry with God. Like, God, what's the deal? I never had a choice. I was always going to be a preacher. There was I didn't have an option from birth. And God brought up.
Oh, so he was speaking to you about Samson's call on his life. Oh,
Samson. So I'd been arguing with God about Samson, and I said, "Well, Samson never had a choice." But then God had brought it up. I had never told anybody. God brought up Samuel as well. The two men that had a Nazirite vow from birth had no choice. Right. But one embraced it. The other one fought it.
Right.
And so.
Well, no, the other one didn't fight it. He fell to a woman.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's a lot to Samson, but
I agree.
But he was weak because he immediately disobeyed his parents when he wanted somebody that was from the Philistine camp.
Yeah, he was 40 years old when that happened with Delilah. So, and he had already been a successful judge, so he wasn't even a kid when he did this. But he never fully. This is what I mean by fighting it. He never fully embraced it. Like he was always.
Oh, okay. So I'm not trying to argue with you, but I'm trying to
I hope
understand.
I didn't come across that way.
No.
I was trying to clarify where I was coming from. Because so it kind of plays out. I was in my 30s. Yeah. He's in his 40s. There was a period where Samson did embrace it, right? And then there's a time where he didn't, where he's like, I want to do it my way. That kind of thing. Right.
I think he probably took it for granted.
He definitely, I feel like that way. Absolutely.
Because it just was easy for him. God just had always anointed him.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. He took his calling and his separation and his covenant for granted.
Yeah.
Yep. His anointing.
Yeah.
And he was different. And that was the other part of it was I had to live different. I didn't have a choice. I had to be different.
Correct. There is no, that was part of the word that was given to me in 95. And the preacher said, I was on the back row, called me out. I won't tell you everything, but he said, God doesn't bargain. If you will live for him with all of your heart.
Yes.
And he says, and God doesn't bargain.
Yes.
He will do blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
And I can honestly say now I do.
Yeah.
But, I think we don't know that we're not
Right.
But God knows because he sees. And I think so much of what he's exposing in all of us as we walk out this journey is he's revealing what's been buried in our heart that we didn't even know was buried.
Yes.
But he did.
Yes.
And he's trying to expose it so that we could give it to him.
Yes.
And that it doesn't hold us because you didn't know the seeds that were going to crop up in your life. I didn't know the seeds, but God knew the seeds.
He knew.
And so that separation and
you're right. You're dead on. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the height. That was it, right? God called me to this path. He called me to this dedication.
And there's not going to be because it has to do with the call.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
But isn't it blessed? It's worth it.
It's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. Yes. There's an anointing that comes with that.
That's a hard road, but it's not hard, I think, when you understand and you can just, I think about even if this is all there is, even if God, there's, all the things I used to think. And I think God removes that too. Like all the desires that I used to have that was about that prophecy.
Yes.
Like I'm okay.
Yes.
If none of them ever happen, I'm so okay because of what we get to have with God.
Yes.
There's nothing like that relationship.
Nothing. You can't pay, there's no value.
No.
You can't pay anything. And because you're living this way, you don't realize that it's different. You don't even know. Like I just thought that everybody experienced it. I just assumed. I didn't know.
Because you only have yourself to judge by.
Yeah. So I saw, you're right. And it is a choice. You're right.
Yes,
let me clarify that.
He does give us a choice.
This is what I was fighting, but this is a choice. Because if you look at the blessings of God, especially in Deuteronomy, he goes, if you obey.
Right.
If, and so then I will bless you.
But he doesn't go against our will.
He doesn't. He gives
lets
it
us
to you.
Choose.
Yes. And so if you choose to serve me, if you choose to live, this is the way a path I want you to live. If you're obedient to that, I'm going to bless you.
Mm-hmm.
And Samuel, so Samuel says, okay, and he embraces it. He embraces the calling.
Mm-hmm.
He does it and becomes the greatest judge of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And his word never hits the ground.
Right.
Never. So you see somebody that embraces it and you see somebody that fights it, that struggles with it, and that was Samson rather. And that's when he said, Samson's hair, I've been involved because I'm sitting there and I just broke and prayed through all over again right there because I knew that I choose. I can either, when Samson said, okay, and embraced it, that's when he made the greatest.
Right.
Of
he
all
saved
time.
Israel. Yeah.
Yes. And so Samuel, though, so if I can just follow that path of obedience and embrace the calling, and it's been even now, God will put on my heart, nope, I don't want you to do that. And even though it's normal for other people to do.
It's not. So to me, this is what he taught me. That's a consecration.
Yes.
Because there are things that is not okay.
Yeah.
But it's not a sin issue and it's not a theological issue.
No.
It's a consecration issue. And yeah, isn't that beautiful?
Yes.
And God, yeah.
It's crazy because there's things I'm looking around and I'm like, oh, it's not bad for that. And everybody there'll be
But
people.
it's so easy when you're in love with him.
Yes. That's it.
Because you love him. You want to please him. Like,
yes.
I don't ever want to hurt him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's love, I think.
It's absolutely
and
love.
there is, I don't know if you've experienced this yet, but I certainly have. I don't have the loneliness anymore. God has totally healed. I see a need.
Yeah.
But it isn't for the same reasons that it once was.
That's awesome.
And that's because God feels
that
the void.
Yes.
Everything else is going to be, icing on the cake. It's just an added little gift of his kindness and his goodness towards us.
Yes.
But I don't know if you've experienced that yet, where the loneliness is gone. But
no, I still have it.
He will feel that.
So how it's been right now personally has been.
So you've been out real quick for how many?
Okay, so technically 2 years kind of, but because that year in the halfway house, I was out. Really, I was behind bars, but I was out because I was able to go to work.
Right.
And that was a miracle. I got a job, but it was 2023. So
okay, so 2
years.
So were you at the halfway house for all of 2023?
Yes.
So you've been free for a year to where you can.
Yes.
But you
around.
still have to stay within a.
Yeah, my probation officer knows that I'm here.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And I'm sorry, I'll probably have to have you back again because there's so many layers that are really important to talk about. So where are you now in terms of, I know there's still a lot more healing God's going to do, right? In all of us.
He is.
But what's he speaking to you about now?
Oh, wow. I mean, you've actually been like walking all over it, right? It's been amazing because I'm preaching again.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Well, because what a testimony.
Oh, he's amazing, God. He's so good. He's so good. Both of my daughters live for God. That's
wow. How old is Riley?
Riley's 16. She turned 17 in January.
And then
Haley, she's 22.
7 years older, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
She's 22. Yeah,
wonderful.
Yeah, it's amazing what God's doing.
So are you staying in Oakland because of probation stuff right now, or will you eventually live closer to where your family is?
God called me there.
Okay.
God called me to the Bay.
So you feel to stay. Okay.
Even as a young man, I was trying to get out there to start a church. I had felt that call, and God never, it's cool how he works it all out. And I even in prison, I thought, I'm probably going to be going to the Bay Area at some point and starting a church.
Is Brother Morgan still there? Or is
yes.
He, okay.
He's the bishop. He pastors San Francisco.
Because I know he's in other places too.
Yeah.
So I didn't know where his home office was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And I was just there yesterday, actually.
Okay.
So I go to church twice on Sunday. I go to the one, Jeremy's in El Cerrito, and then we all go back to the home church in San Francisco.
Okay.
And, I love it.
If I'm hearing you right, God never changed his mind about your call to preach.
No.
And so he walked you through all of the learning, the lessons, right?
Yes.
To bring you back to this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you nailed it when, the patience, the waiting. And there's a story with Samuel. It's called, we call it Ebenezer, but it's Eben Ha-Etzer. It's the rock of our help. And if the battle happened with the Philistines where they brought the Ark of the Covenant out and they lost and the Philistines took the Ark. Then, of course,
I remember all that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they get the Ark back. Mm-hmm. Now Samuel's in charge. He takes them in. They fight the same spot. This time they win. Because God is their help. God is their rock. They're obedient.
Everything comes full circle.
Full circle.
Everything comes full circle.
And here I am again, back, and you were talking about the loneliness. It's healing for the first time in my life. Well, Michael,
don't you feel you have a better understanding of who you are?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And it's cool. I call it a lacuna. Lacuna is like an archaeological term where it's a missing piece, right? So it's not just a gap. There's actually a piece that's missing from it. And so I have this missing piece, this lacuna right here. And I even in prison, I'm like, God, I don't understand this. Your Holy Ghost is supposed to, you said in your word that if you drink of your water, you'll never thirst again. But I'm thirsty and I have your Holy Ghost. I have this loneliness. I have this desire to have a person in my life.
That's what it is. If it was filled, you wouldn't keep praying.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe it remains for you to continue to intercede for that until it's filled.
Yes.
Because prayer, God works through prayer.
He 100% works through prayer.
And when we do have a desire, it becomes a burden, right? That you have to birth in the spirit.
You're absolutely right. Here's the thing. Merle Ewing said this. I'll never forget. He said, you can't, something that's full, right? If you put a water hose and you turn it on and you put a cap on the end of that water hose, it's technically not full. There's a bubble of air in it. The only time that water hose is completely full is when you take off the cap and the water's flowing through it. So the only way I can heal, right, and it's been healing, it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller, is by God using me and letting His Spirit flow through me. Me being a part of the body, letting the Holy Ghost flow through me. That's where the healing in that where I'm full. Notice what the woman did at the well. He said, if you drink of my water, you'll never thirst again. She goes and gets people and brings them back. She became used immediately. The water is flowing through her.
Right.
That's where
So
it's full.
good.
That's where it's at. It's being a part of each other. And like, we blow up the whole, fivefold ministry and all that. We're servants.
Right.
It's only for the body.
Yeah. The gifts are always about the body. It's
all about
not
the body.
about to be somebody.
No.
It's not for a title.
No.
And I think it's more about intimacy with God, because when we get to hear Him, when we get to intercede for someone because He reveals something, it's all out of love.
Yes.
And I think you just have to experience that, for a person to know that, right?
Yes.
It's all flowing from a place of love,
Yes.
which is what the Bible says, but it's so different when you understand it from experience versus what we're told, and we do idolize in our
celebrity.
We grew up that way. And I don't think it's anyone's fault. I just think it was the culture, but
osmosis.
But it's changing, I think.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And this, where I've been learning is I'm healing, right? And I'm back to the same battles that I had before.
Right. Because you got to overcome them this time.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't have a choice, right? Like this is,
right.
I go back to prison if this doesn't happen.
Right.
So this is where I'm at. And God has brought me a mighty long way. And I got 2 daughters. I got my dad. I got, a church that loves me. They're having me preach. Like, it's crazy. I'm preaching out. Like, this is not,
Right.
The UPC has brought me back in and wrapped arms around me. Like, I went in and I was so scared. I went to youth convention a couple years ago and they came out and hugged me. Like,
wow.
Like what? Like, Yeah. But God is definitely, and I'm learning the whole waiting, the patient, but it's all about Him, and it's learning it's a cooperation. Romans 8:28, all things work. He's actually quoting out of the Shema and out of Isaiah, but because you were talking about if love God with all your heart, right? When you love God with all your heart and you're following His purpose, He'll take even your pain and all your suffering and use that as a gift.
Right.
But
I believe it.
Yes.
I've seen Him. Yep. Kim Haney wrote a book years ago called God's Got a Waiting Room. And it's excellent because we all walk through that season where we wait, and I'm 30 years. So I've said this, I'm 30 years. I prayed back through 30 years ago.
Awesome.
But I stayed in non-denominational churches. I healed out there. But anyways, I've been back in UPC since my cousin took over the church, probably 5 years. But, that's been a journey too. But I learned through that book that I just have to take all my expectations off the table.
Yes.
But God has answered all of my childhood questions and prayers, and the prayers that didn't get answered long ago that broke my heart.
Yes.
He gave me understanding in Him. He gave me answers for them, and He never had to do that for me, but He did because He's good.
He's a good God.
And He wanted me to know, the reasons why those prayers didn't get answered.
Yes.
But, it doesn't matter now, but I was going to serve Him anyways, but He loved me enough to give me answers, to just comfort me in something that I was going to be okay with no matter what. But He's just good. I mean, I'm excited. This is still pretty fresh and new for you.
So cool.
But what a miracle.
It's a miracle.
So many. And I think, Michael, there are so many backsliders out there who God has called, and they got tripped up.
Yes.
Because of all the same reasons we did.
Yes.
Not fitting,
No.
being lonely,
Yes.
trying to find a place.
Yes.
Because ultimately they don't know their identity
No.
in who God God's got something so
Yes.
much more and bigger for them. But you know what?
Yes.
Your story and the stories of others who've been on the podcast is going to help. Because,
thank
you know,
Jesus.
not just because God redeemed you, but because there was a call long before there was ever a falling away.
Yes. Yes.
And I think many backsliders share that identity piece, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got to wrap up because
I'm so sorry.
No, listen, my pastor had told me I can talk and talk and talk. And your story is rich on so many levels. And I want to dig into all the pieces.
Okay.
Because I feel like there's so many jewels there, you know, just how the enemy comes against us,
Yes.
what he tells us, what is real to our own emotional struggle as a
Yes.
human, how God wired us.
Yeah.
And then you add sensitivity on top of all that. And it just, you know, it's just the perfect storm. But I'm grateful that you're here today.
Oh, thank you for letting me come.
You know, I'm so grateful. I always end with the same two questions.
Okay.
I want to start backwards with you today on that. So, your dad is here with us today and has stayed in ministry throughout all of this, which I imagine, I want to have you on someday to tell your story. But what do you say to the parents? Because I think you're fortunate not all parents would stick around. What do you say to the parent who has a kid out there like you were?
Yeah. You know, truthfully, my dad, I'm not saying this because he's sitting here, but he did the right thing. He just loved me.
It's really hard to do when we're horrific humans.
Yeah.
It's really hard to love beyond bad behavior.
Yes. And when you're, especially in this situation where he had to spend, I don't even know how much money he had to take care of my kids, take care of me while I was in prison. It's a sacrifice.
Yeah.
But if you just keep loving them, just love them. Fruit, when it hits the ground, it actually turns the ground into fertile ground, soil. So the fruit of your spirit is not going unnoticed. It's actually resoiling that ground that you're with your kids. And if you just keep loving them, being patient with them, you're going to turn that soil into fertile ground.
And then what do you say to the backslider who hasn't come back yet? And particularly to the one that's afraid to go back to a UPC church like you were, like I was, like every UPC backslider kid I've talked to is so afraid to go back to our church environment. What do you say to them?
Well, the first thing is a whole lot different
than what it was growing up.
It's not the same. And I think you need to come home.
Yeah.
You need to come home. And if I know you, I love you. It's just letting you know. I love you and I'm praying for you. This is home. There's nothing like being home. There's nothing like the presence of God. Nothing. And like you said, it's worth it. It's worth it. There's nothing in this world that's worth it. Trading this in for nothing.
Yeah, it's all empty.
It's all empty. Yeah.
Well, I think we're running out of memory on the camera. So
I'm so sorry.
Oh no, don't apologize. I mean, I talked probably as much as you. So, Michael, what a pleasure, and what a redemption story that you have. And man. If anybody doubts if God is still doing miracles, he is still doing miracles. And I believe there's more to come, greater things than this, and many, many more miracles to come. So as we close, if you know Backslider, if you're familiar with Michael Torres and knew him when he was a preacher back in the day, will you please share his testimony with others and share our channel, and please like and subscribe. And if God leads you to donate, that helps too. But pray for us because we just really want to reach the backslider.
Yes. Amen.
So God bless you all. And thanks for being here. And thank you so much. Yeah. Bye.
We are so glad you joined us. If you have a story of redemption or have worn the label of a backslider, we would love to hear from you. If you'd like to support our ministry, your donation will be tax deductible. Visit our website at theredeemedbackslider.org. We hope you will tune in for our next episode.